Hi there, good morning and welcome to the AM show on Joy News, your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. My name is Sweetie Abochi, and coming up in this 4-hour package, the AM show, first we'll start by serving you the AM news, the first news bulletin on the channel. And then we'll get into our news review segment. Nanaya Achepem Jantua, the former General Secretary of the CPP, and Kofi Akpalu, founder of the Liberal Party of Ghana, will be joining us to review the various news stories captured in the papers. And then, of course, Haruna Mumbarak will bring you AM Sports, and then we'll pivot into our big stories. I mean, the road is clear now. The lines have been drawn. A choice between a better future and a bleak past. That is what Vice President and presidential candidate of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is saying. Now, he draws the battle lines as he delivered the party's 2024 manifesto. And he describes it as one of hope that will usher the nation into a golden age of good governance and accountability. He says the next NPP government will tackle head-on cost of living, youth unemployment, private sector empowerment, and roads, among others. This morning, we will probe the highlights of the 2024 manifesto, and they're calling it "To Lead is to Solve." Also, residents and workers along the banks of the White Volta River have to take precautionary measures against adverse effects of the Bagri Dam Spillage by Sonabel, the power utility of Burkina Faso. And we are there for updates on how residents are bracing themselves up for this potential danger. And then, of course, on Just 10:18, Lois Adeyemi Shola interacts with young head porters in search of the real factors pushing these young women away from their roots and how their struggles are shaping their choices as these head porters head to the voting booth come December 2024. Join us with your comments and your thoughts either via phone or across social media, especially via social media at Joy News on TV. And let's get the conversation started. But first on our bucket list this morning is the AM News. Stay with us. Many thanks for your time. This is the AM News details now. President Akufo-Addo has reposed confidence in the Bawumia Napo ticket for the 2024 general election. He says both have a track record and can deliver if elected, while observing that unlike John Dramani Mahama, who does not take responsibility for failure, the duo will serve Ghanaians with honesty and respect. Samuel Mbura has more from the NPP Manisfesto Launch.
Flag bearer of the new patriotic party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia unveiled a list of innovative ideas to transform the country if elected. He prioritized supporting the business community with tax rebates and incentives and pledged to operate a lean government with less than 50 ministers to ensure fiscal discipline. The NPP manifesto comprehensively addressed all thematic areas aiming to transform the economy. Dr. Bawumia emphasized his ultimate goal of creating employment.
To the Gen Zs, I am well plugged into the new world you belong. And I know the keys to press to unlock your potentials within. I am your plug to your dreams of a prosperous Ghana.
He also highlighted his track record as vice president as proof of his ability to deliver.
I believe that as vice president, the policies I have championed or initiated have impacted or will impact the lives of virtually every Ghanaian. I have, with the full blessings and support of my boss, promised and delivered on many groundbreaking policies.
His running mate, Dr. Maito Opoku Prempeh, expressed his readiness to work with the grassroots to secure the victory.
For those who have skeletons in their cupboard, for those who have skeletons in their cupboards and think the election is far gone for them, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will win the 7th December general election and presidential election. We Kukudites will fight from room to room, house to house, village to village, community to community, that never again will we have done so.
President Akufo-Addo, visibly impressed by the ideas presented by Dr. Bawumia and his running mate, had this to say.
These are the two people who are asking for the mandate of the Ghanaian people. I have no hesitation, as the outgoing president is saying that they will be worthy successors to the office of president and vice president. So I want all of you here to make sure that when the results are declared, hopefully on the 8th of December, we will hear the sweet news. The 6th president of the 4th Republic, Mahamudu Bawumia, has won a clear victory.
The president did not end his speech without taking a swipe at former President John Mahama, drawing a comparison between Mahama's leadership and Dr. Bawumia's vision.
This is a man who has respect for the people of Ghana. This is not a man who is going to tell the Ghanaian people that you have short memories. That is not the kind of man we have here. That is not the type of man we have here. He's a man who has respect for the people of Ghana. This is not somebody who's going to say to the Ghanaian people when his policies have failed that I am not a magician. That is not the language of Mahamudu Bawumia. That is not the sort of person that he is.
Away from the NPP Manifesto Launch, some young head porters who are first-time voters cite the lack of jobs and poor quality living conditions as reasons for leaving their roots. As the December 7 polls approach, these girls are demanding better opportunities back home to avoid the harsh conditions they endure here in Accra. They have been interacting with Lois Sola Adeyemi in our latest episode of Just Turned 18.
Hello and welcome to Just Turned 18, where we gauge the pulse of first-time voters on issues that will determine their decision in the voting booth come December 2024. Now, the last time you saw us, we were with these beautiful people. They are friends. You've already seen them already. So obviously, you know what we are going to talk about. The last time you saw us, we spoke about the educational system of Ghana, specifically the free SHS policy. Today, we are speaking about the bread and butter issues. When I say bread and butter issues, I am talking about the things that made these young ones move from the north to the south. What are some of the issues that moved them here? I am curious to find out, and I'm ready to have this conversation. But before we do so, let me say a very big thank you to my sponsors, Star Ghana Foundation, Youth Bridge Foundation, Petrosol, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, together with the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, to the German Ozone Medical Center, and to Chobok Technologies for making this possible. Now, as I said, we are ready to discuss this, and they are ready for me. You already know them, so let's get talking to them. Hello, my lovelies. Today we are not shaking, no. Today we are jumping. Let's jump a little. Let's shake the body, shake the body, shake the body, shake the body. Rama, I heard that some of you are footballers. How do we dribble? The dribbling. I like that. All right, I like that we are all happy and we are all calm now. But let's get into our conversation. So the last time that we spoke, you ladies told me that you have benefited from the PSHS policy, right? Today we are going to find out why is it that after the PSHS we haven't continued, and why did we have to move, from the north to the south? I want to find out some of the things that moved us from the north to the south. So when I say to the south, I'm talking about Accra here, Accra every day. So I'm going to come to all of us so we can find out why we haven't continued the schooling.
Because of financial problem. When I complete school, my father and my mother, they divorced. We are 9. Only my mother too, she can take care of us. I'm the third born of my family. When my father divorced my mother, we are 10, and my mother sent us to her family, and we are staying there. We are 9. I'm the third born of my family. My mother too, she's old. She can take care of us. And my brother too, he ran to Galense and left with us. We are 8 girls, 1 boy. And me too, I ran to Accra. One of my sister too, she's at senior high. And me too, I'm taking care of my mother and my sisters. I moved to Accra and I was doing kaya, small. When I get some small money, I will send it to my mother and I will send small to my sister at school. And she will use it to buy gari, soap and her pad and those things. That's how I was doing.
You could have gone to university, but you sacrificed that to come here to take care of, your family back home. All right, let me come to you, Mary. Is that the same thing for you?
When I completed senior high school, my mother passed away, and we were 5 in number. I'm the second born, so when I completed how to get money is a problem. So I have to move here to work small, to carry kaya to get money small. So, and now if how to feed education is not easy. If you don't have someone to support you, you are going to struggle a lot.
But I want to ask, why kaya? Why is that? You just said you came to find work. Why kaya?
Because how to find a work is difficult. I don't know anybody. I don't have any relative here, so I have to carry kaya. For kaya, they immediately just move here. You can go and buy pan. After buy the pan, you put it on your head. You're about to go.
I see.
That full package will air later on the show, so you want to stay for that. But in other stories, time after time, some residents who live in flood-prone areas keep hope alive that one day the plight of having to run from home when the raining season sets in would be addressed. But it seems that hope is gradually waning. In this floods of trauma report, Hannah Odame finds out the hope has now become resilient against the natural disaster. Here's a report.
After years of keeping hope alive without receiving any major help, some residents living at flood-prone area, Odona, say they have accepted their fate and have devised backup plans to keep they and their properties safe when the rains came down.
Me better now say no. Me mama de me ba say na menya 7 years. Na insuo no enye sa na sister menya 52 years. But sister de ehun say no.
52-year-old Sarah Kote Oyo has lived in this house for 45 years. She tells me until the overpass was constructed at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle and the drains in their backyard covered, they lived without fear of the rain. In fact, they enjoyed it when they see the clouds, but not anymore.
Previously, the drain behind our house was just okay to contain all the rainwater, but now it cannot hold that much water because there are many more people residing in the area and the drain has been covered. Due to that, any little rain causes flooding. People have also built on the waterways and this has really messed us up. Just look at this. When the rains come down, this is how our house looks like. Imagine the garbage the water sweeps onto the compound, coupled with our inability to stay in our rooms because of the situation.
Sarah is concerned about the daily construction of shelters in the vicinity, mostly on waterways.
The former assemblyman in this area used to discipline those who choked the passage of the drains. But now, I think things are out of hand. No one is enforcing strict building regulations anymore.
Her room is no longer a luxurious place where she can comfortably relax after a hard day's work. In fact, it is like a nightmare when she enters.
Come and see how my room looks like. I can't even get to use the items I bought for the home. I have packed all of them onto the shelves to keep them safe. The only items you will see on the floor is the mattress I sleep on with my daughter. Even with that, I shelve it every morning before we step out, just in case it rains whilst we are away. I have sent everything I consider important to my relative's house in another town.
5 hours in a say,
Due to the quantity of water which collects in her room, Madam Sarah and the other residents in this family house all have this connecting pipe hole built from their rooms through which they sweep out the water.
I am used to this situation now, so I have developed these mechanisms to ensure my children and I are safe.
The life and movements of this trader is now determined by the hours the rains fall and how long it takes for the waters to subside. So I asked Madam Sarah if she has ever considered relocating.
I cannot relocate because this is the property my grandmother left for me, and it is not cost effective to live here and go rent. A solution, I think, will be if we all contribute to raise the foundation of the house. Another will be the demolition of all the structures built on the waterways that leads into the Odona so that the waters can freely flow. I believe when we do our part and government also does its part, we will all be secured against the devastating effects of the flood.
Sarah's coping mechanism is working, but she does not want her children to go through the same situation. She wants them to enjoy the legacy handed them by their grandmother and hopes for a permanent solution, not in the near future, but now.
I
no longer fear the effects of the flood. It is not because I have accepted this as my fate, but as long as I don't see a lasting solution coming in now, I have to psych myself or I will be taken unaware. I wish this was not the case, and I pray the situation changes soon so that my children and I can live a better, organized, and less fearful life.
Mimi said the minimum because when first time.
From Odona, near the Kwame Nkrumah Circle in Accra, I am Hannah Odame for Joy News.
Go for our business updates now. An economist, Professor John Gachi, has expressed skepticism about the central bank's new policy, which allows individuals to access foreign currency using their national ID as a means of controlling the currency market. Speaking on the sidelines of the African Center for Governance and Economic Management roundtable discussion on fiscal and monetary policy in Accra, Professor Gachi argued that people will still turn to the black market to protect the value of their investments.
The market is being controlled by government, and so it is possible for government to undertake certain measures to change the rate overnight, but that cannot continue because when the rate goes down significantly, you create opportunity for people to look for where they will keep their money, and the surest way is to keep their money in foreign currency. So I'm not sure that downward trend will continue in the interest of exchange rate, because if the rate goes down significantly, then a lot of people will be finding a safe haven for their money, and that will be foreign currency. Even though some measures have been taken to deter people from purchasing foreign currency, using IDs to keep record of them, that would deter people. But there is a vibrant shadow market, black market for currency. So that will not resolve the issue.
And that ends it for the business updates and the AM News Bulletin on the AM show. Coming up next is News Review. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back. And we are airborne with the news preview segment on the AM show with me, Sweetie Abochi. And before we get into our stories and introduce my guest to you, a reminder that this segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And they're offering free prostate screening and free fertility screening for the women at their various locations. Here in Accra, you can find them on the Spintex Road, opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronuma Buehia, behind the Angel Educational Complex. In Takrade, Anaji Estate, in Tema, in Community 22. In Techima and Hanswa, in Nesiama, in Zimba. And here are their call lines, 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Take advantage and get yourself checked. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. This morning, I've been joined in the studio by Nanaya Achepim Jantwa, former General Secretary of the CPP, and Mr. Kofi Akbalu, founder of the Liberal Party of Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Yesterday was a very colorful day in the Western region, the capital, Segendi Takrade. I don't know if that's on top of your mind this morning, but I want to get into your take in a minute or two. Walk us through what's on your mind. I'll start with you because, of course, ladies first.
Yes, certainly.
Yeah, I'm starting with you.
Good morning. How are you, Sweetie? Yeah, good morning to your viewers.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what to say. It was everywhere. It's like some rabble rousing, and sometimes I wonder, who am I listening to? Am I listening to an opposition leader who is not in government, or I'm listening to sometimes a bit disgraceful the way.
Disgraceful?
Yes, sometimes it is, and it's a bit pitiful as well. And I wonder what is happening. At a point, looking at the demeanor of His Excellency Nana Addo, he didn't even look happy. It's as if he had found his face, and he was making some facial gestures. When Napo was speaking, His Excellency Bawumia too was like putting his hand like, hey, be careful. I mean, it was, and when he himself came.
But he should be careful.
No, but
looking at his track record.
No, the gestures were too. For yesterday, I think that Napo stayed on track.
Because this time he read from his.
Yes, he stayed on track, but he should have given us a bit of what he's coming to do with his flag bearer. The accolades were too many.
Right.
And these days, it's as if anytime he gets the opportunity, he's giving accolades to His Excellency, and it always lands him into trouble. But this time round, he escaped it. I mean, he stayed on track. Whoever is managing him is trying to put him in this bind. But you could see he was struggling. That is not Napo.
But the Napo we know is unscripted. That is, uncensored.
Yeah, so yesterday you could realize that. But the whole thing was, for me, I said, what is this? You are already in government. I always thought that His Excellency Bawumia would tell us what Nana Addo has done, then what Nana Addo couldn't do, and that he's coming to continue. Because Nana Addo himself said that everything that he did it with Bawumia. So now you are saying you have your own vision and your own agenda. It's a bit innocuous. It doesn't sit very well.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Akbalu, what about you? Top of mind.
On top is that I've tried to follow these two major parties, especially when it comes to their manifestos. And it's something that they don't tell us in their manifestos as to their targets, what they are aiming to achieve. If they say they are going to create jobs, how many jobs? And how much is going to cost them to achieve that? They don't tell us in all their manifestos. Oh, we'll build roads. Oh, we are going to construct this. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. But what they don't tell us is how they're going to, and how many of them, so that when you are measuring them, you'll be able to say that, oh, they promised this and they've done this.
Well, he did say that this is just what we saw yesterday was just the highlights of the actual manifesto, so more like a summary. So we should look forward to the actual manifesto that will have more details. Well, maybe then they'll put a figure to all their promises that they're making.
Oh, no. Since 1992 to date, I've gone through all their manifestos, NPP and DC.
All right.
And I don't see those figures. See, they won't tell you because they don't know. It just that it comes on top of their mind, and then they will just say anything, and then they write it. You know, so it's like somebody will promise you 24-hour economy. What is in it? What are they going to do?
They've been
and then
that.
my people in Kita or Anyako thinking that there's going to be 24-hour economy in the Kita area or Anyako. You know, that's what they're expecting. What are they going to do in Anyako to give a 24-hour economy?
Okay.
Or Nkuranza? You understand? Yeah. But people have bought into this. And then they are even wearing some T-shirts. They spend money to buy T-shirts, you know, and then printed 24-hour economy. Whilst nobody's giving us figures as to...
It's what the season requires and demands in the build-up to December 2020.
Yeah, so this is where we end up complaining bitterly.
Right.
That because they give them false hopes, you know, for them to think that this is what going to do, going to do that, you know. And I don't know
you want to do it differently.
Oh, yes. Okay. Because everything really attach figures.
Let's start with the papers, and in the course of the conversations, you have time to elaborate more on your thoughts and opinion. I'll start with the Daily Graphic. On the front page, Bawumia means business, unveils manifesto focusing on jobs and businesses. At GJA 75th anniversary, speakers call for investment in AI infrastructure. Colleges of education must stay open, according to GTech. Let's start with the story. Of course, we started, Nanaya was sharing her thoughts and opinion about what she saw or watched yesterday. Bawumia means business. And the New Patriotic Party unveiled its manifesto that outlines the party's plans and vision for the next 4 years on every sector, and appealed to the Ghanaian public to keep faith with the party and entrust the presidency to its flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to steer the country to transform the Ghanaian economy. I mean, we all followed yesterday's activities. I mean, it started from Saturday, I think, with that health walk all over, painting the town blue, red, and white. But what really caught my attention yesterday was the absence of the First Lady. Did anyone else notice that she wasn't around yesterday?
Yeah, we all noticed.
I wonder what explanation
and the potential second lady too wasn't there.
No, she was.
The potential second lady.
Oh yeah, the potential second lady wasn't there as well.
We saw Napo's ring, but I didn't see a wife.
Okay.
When the time is right, I'm sure Napo will show us his wife, and he'll come out.
No, but she came out during Napo's outdooring.
Yeah, but maybe they had other engagements.
So I'm just asking that the potential first, second lady.
Probably.
Potential.
But the question I want to ask both of you this morning is, do you think, listening to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia yesterday, you got a clear sense of what is his unique selling proposition based on everything that he said? Unlike the previous manifestos we've seen from 2016, 2020, you can take one sentence, trademark policy. We had a free SHS, we had one district, one factory, we had planting for food and job. What do you think, or what did you deduce as his unique selling proposition from everything he told us yesterday? I'll start with you, Mr. Akwalu.
In fact, I think what they were talking about is this. It's rehearsed of what he told us at UPS.
Bold solutions for the future.
So, and then this time they are telling us Bawumia means business. And then the lead is to solve. I think that's the lead task. But like I can agree with you because I'm not getting the exact area that they are coming to. So maybe it will take some time for us to understand exactly where they are heading towards, and then the main focus area, because it's like everything has been put together.
Right.
So you are not able to, yes, because the 2016, they were telling us one district, one factory. So you were expecting some factories, and so.
Well.
Yeah.
Let's wait and see how that plays out. Nanaya.
You see,
you're seriously making some notes, and I want to know what you're writing.
No, I'm just looking at some of the things that he's talking about. He has bold solutions, 9 initiatives to stimulate SMEs. But the overarching issue that makes SMEs not thrive are imports. Do you get me? The kind of competition that is in there, that they cannot compete with the imports that are coming in, because at the end of the day, their cost of doing, with all the taxes and all the issues, their cost of doing business is higher than those imported from places like China, Pakistan, and all those other places. So I was looking for a well thought out, elaborate import substitution plan. An import substitution plan that will move government or Ghana from importation to looking at the local industry, looking at boosting internal investment. That would also bring down the pressure on our CD as in the forex and the exchange. Do you get me? Yeah. But I didn't see anything like that. He's talking about a flat rate on imports. Yeah. Then it means you are still encouraging imports when we want to have a homegrown solution.
But he also mentioned that Ghana First, he's going to encourage, but whatever it is,
you don't encourage with your mouth. You encourage with policies. You encourage with structures. You encourage, people to go into businesses. Right. You remember in 2001, when President Kufuor became president, he made the system so flexible and put in policies to promote SMEs. That I even remember, I once saw a shoe shine boy. These days you don't see them. He was walking around with his box. And so, vigorously working. And he said, Kufuor has made things easier. Now we can even take small loans to work. And everybody was trying to do something. Right. Do you understand? With a presidential initiative of garments and textiles by Alan Chematin, yes. Everybody did their own concerning promoting SMEs. Do you understand? His Excellency Mahama did the same. Everybody has done their own, but he's always talking about imports. How do you stimulate SMEs when there is this competition and businesses are going down? Even a marketing plan is part of it. What are you doing to create the enabling environment, helping them to market their produce and all that?
Well, they just launched their manifesto and highlights. So perhaps the discourse now is how they're going to take one line item.
No, but he didn't even mention for him to take it as a line item. That import substitution plan, like Nigeria did, they closed their borders, stayed within, grew their agro industry, and now they are food sufficient. Do you understand me? So what are we going to do in that manner? He also talked about, when government talks about tariffs, I become a bit, a bit jittery, because they do not understand what goes in there. He's talking about giving lower rates to industry and other commercial entities.
And the cost of doing private sector.
But when you do that, because the whole tariff is about the cost of the service, and that cost of service should be synonymous to the amount of money you need to generate, to distribute, and to transmit. So if your cost of service is lopsided, then you have a problem. Because in this structure, if immediately you do the proper structure where commercial, industrial, big industries, bulk industries are paying less, then it means you have to put the burden on the residential consumer. Do you get me? So the residential consumers are more hit. So what are you going to do as you reduce? And that is what it should be, because the cost of service, serving them power is easier because they are closer to the supply point.
That's a question I'm going to pose. When we have that conversation later on in the show, and I'm going to ask that question. What really is a plan there? They should let us understand.
No, because it doesn't stand with them. You see, the PURC is an independent body. Right. So it doesn't behove on government to start making these promises. Anytime you do this, like Nanado and Co did in 2016, that they were going to reduce tariffs. They reduced the tariffs by 20% by the time they realized there was a gaping hole in the revenue of the utilities because of that 20% reduction, even in America.
So it's about comprehensive stakeholder engagements to understand, arrive at concrete solutions.
It is the structure of the tariff. Then it is you have to change the whole structure of the tariff. Otherwise, if you do not do that,
we are in trouble.
You're in trouble, or you are prepared to subsidize. So that if you then subsidize, then those in the residential class would be able to manage, then those down there would also, that is the bulk customers, would also get their due, that's their actual tariff. If you don't do that, then there'll always be a cross-subsidization within the tariff.
Let's do some other stories.
Yeah.
So this Mpox, Europe rushes to contain Mpox. Luckily, we still don't have it yet here in Ghana, but
it's in Nigeria.
Yes, but the Ghana Health Service has heightened, awareness creation, surveillance to monitor and combat just in case it reaches here. Now that our neighbors have recorded.
But we have a porous border. The people are here. God is with us.
Let me just read a bit of the story and then we'll move on to others. Europe is rushing to contain an outbreak of a new and more deadly strain of Mpox, which originated in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And last Thursday, Sweden became the first country outside the continent to confirm a case of the more easily transmittable Mpox, with Pakistan announcing one on Friday. So the World Health Organization earlier this week declared the spread of the new strain a public health emergency of international concern. So everyone take note and be careful. Now let's do the story about AI infrastructure that has been encouraged. At the 75th GJA anniversary, the speakers are calling for investments in AI infrastructure. And I think that's the superpower we need these days. And the fourth industrial revolution is actually here. So what is the story? Artificial intelligence is the future of journalism, and as such, media organizations need to invest in both newsroom infrastructure and human resources to leverage its potential. There are some concerns that AI could actually replace journalists. But what do you think? Today, if I go to ChatGPT, it can write a complete article for me. I just need to feed it with facts, and data. That it can give you questions to probe an issue. Do you think that AI is going to take our jobs? And this is where I come to you, Mr. Akpalu. Should we be encouraging AI infrastructure in journalism?
Technology in itself won't take away jobs. It will rather create more jobs.
And enhance it.
Yeah, and enhance it. Because, like you are saying, it's asking you to do further research on certain things, because it will probe some of the questions that you did mention. So, to us, as a party, LPG, we believe in transforming Ghana with technology, transforming lives with technology. So, technology is something that we should all embrace and invest in it. So I will go with the core, that we should put more money, more investment in AI. But I think this one is directly going to these the journalists or the industry. Yeah, but it should be something that it should be everywhere.
Okay.
Because this is the way forward. And Ghana, we should find money and invest in that. That means that we have to train more people. Whilst we're investing in infrastructure, we have to also invest in more people at the end of the day, people are going to use it. So I think it's a call in the right direction.
Okay. Nanaya, before I come to this colleges of education story, what do you think about AI? Yeah.
This AI thing you're talking about, you see, digitalization and technology, they have their limits. And yes, it's come, it helps us and all that. But there was a time, I don't remember, I put some name in it and I needed AI to tell me what it is. I was testing AI.
Okay.
The answer I got is this one is not familiar to AI.
Yeah.
Do you get? So it is telling me that it is not everything that AI can do. Okay. But so we shouldn't depend on AI, solely. And because of these technological advancements and platforms, you then realize that people are not reading. But reading also stimulates your mind. And it's also making our students lazy. Some people just, plug in some guess questions or past questions, and AI brings everything out. If you are not careful, you would be an educated person, but very hollow.
Right.
So I do not think that it is good for us to get assistance from technology, but it is also not right. It doesn't mean that we should depend on it solely. You need to do your research and do it properly, because there are times that even the AI information that comes up is not as sacrosanct as it should be.
Yes.
So we need to be careful how we depend solely on AI for information. We need to do a lot of research, go into history, and do a lot of research to enrich our work.
But no doubt that investing in infrastructure and journalism will rather help to make the work faster and easier. I mean, in terms of access to information.
Yes,
as far as AI is concerned.
Yes, search. There are so many search engines. There is Google. There is AI. We shouldn't just negate the old one. Google, that has helped us all.
You know,
and now we are saying everything is.
It's like we send Google into our bro, and we are now Gen Z.
Yes, we are now Gen Z. We need
so,
to look at it carefully.
This colleges of education, who have just about a month to the end of the semester.
The CTAG.
The CTAG strike. Now, some teachers are calling that they just close down the semester completely, so that close down the school so that the students can go home and prepare financially and psychologically for the next semester. Because teachers are not in the classrooms. Nothing is going on. There's no learning and teaching activities going on. But I think the directive is coming in that they should stay open. That is according to GTEC. So let me read the story. The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission has directed all 46 colleges of education to remain open until further notice. And this is coming in wake of calls from various stakeholders, including the leadership of affected students, for the colleges to be closed until striking members of the colleges of education, Teachers Association of Ghana, return to the classroom. But GTEC is saying in a statement issued last Friday, addressed to all principals of public colleges of education, said, as of today, August 16, the Commission has not reached such a conclusion, that is to close the schools, and neither has it been directed by the Minister of Education to do same. Should we really keep these students in schools when there's no teaching and learning activity going on? They're spending money every day to buy food and other necessaries.
They're just walking around the company.
And the authorities have still yet not reached any conclusion with that striking teachers on how they can return back to the classroom. And GTEC is saying they should stay open. Mr. Akbalu?
Yeah, I think it's something that, in fact, I don't even understand why this small issue cannot be resolved. You know, what are the teachers asking for? What are they looking for?
Money.
Money. Their allowances.
Yeah.
So you have to meet them, talk to them, and then find amicable solution, because they are human beings. You know, we are depriving our young people the opportunity to finish school on time. But this thing has been going on in this country for so many years. They waste your time. Teachers will be going on, the lecturers at the universities will be going on strike and all those kind of stuff. You know, since my eyes open, there's no single year that you will not hear this kind of strike, especially when it comes to the teaching industry. You know, it's like, I don't get it. It's something that we should all find a lasting solution.
And this has gone on for more than 60 days.
It's not right. It's not right.
More than that.
You know,
I don't get what really is the issue.
In 2023.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not right.
What really is preventing the I don't know who's supposed to, but the Ministry of Education to call these teachers and say, listen, maybe we cannot meet all your demands, but we can meet you halfway. Can you return to the classroom? Well, we cannot migrate you to, the level of other traditional teachers, but we can at least pay your allowances. What really prevents them from having a conversation like that?
What they are looking for should be given to them. It will not cost this country anything.
The country will not collapse.
Exactly. We should give to the teachers so that they go back to school and teach our young people. Because we cannot invest in these young people for 3 years from, what do you call the SHS? Right. And then they come out, they are doing this program. And then you end up destroying their future, wasting their time. You know, time is of essence here. And then, so let's give the teachers whatever is due them so for them to return back.
But sweetie, the point is that the GTEC too is not helping. You get me? What is his name? The head of the GTEC? Something Jinapo.
Yeah.
I think it's something. He's also not helping his utterances in the way we should be engaging the teachers.
Yeah.
You get me? That's he's a commissioner or the chairman. Yes. He's a chairman for the commission that regulates the colleges. So I think that he should engage them, because it's been a while and it's becoming too protracted. and it's about money, and it's about allowances, and it's about the livelihood of the teachers. And this is not just any ordinary students. These are teachers who are going to teach our children. Exactly. They are going to teach leaders of the future. And they are missing a whole semester.
That's not right.
I mean, it is not right just because of allowances. How much money did they spend on the manifesto launch? How much money have they spent on the National Cathedral? You see, priorities in this country should be very, very, very important to us. And especially, this government should know. When you speak, they will label you right now. But this is very unfortunate. It shows that they don't even respect teachers. You see, sweetie, between you and me and Kofi, it is a teacher who has made us like this.
Of course.
Fundamentally.
Of course.
If we didn't go to school, we wouldn't be able to even put our thought processes together.
And imagine if the teachers had taught us that this thing is called a bicycle.
Yes, you will
all be done walking around.
Yes, forever say it's a bicycle. Do you get me? And especially they take their time to teach us and construct us and even mold us in school. Do you understand?
And teach us how to even acquire knowledge, further knowledge past the classroom.
You see, when we go to school, we are empty.
Not underestimate, yeah.
Do you see how they can help us to start with A, B, C, D? Then you finish with the alphabet, then you are coming to B-A-D, bad. Do you get me? S-E is C. Then you do, then you do that. Yeah. Then even sometimes they teach you rhymes. And the rhymes will tell you, old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard. Do you get me?
Yeah.
So you Hubbard and cupboard, it is even rhyming. The teacher is teaching you.
Anyway. We have issues in this country, and sometimes I hope that that's what the vice president who is seeking for us to give him an answer. I hope that these are the things that he
didn't talk about teachers.
No, he spoke about education and a broader,
No, but he didn't talk about teachers. Well,
not specifically.
No, but if you do free SHS, if you do what is it, the fee, no stress fee, who is going to teach? The tables are not going to teach.
Is it safe to say that the bus stops with free SHS, or is that an overstatement? But let's get into your papers, because we don't have enough time. Mr. Kwal, let me start with you. You have the Custodian newspaper.
I'm interested in this one, but it's not my paper.
Yes.
Let's give us
an overview.
Oh, yeah.
Overview of the stories and the.
Yeah, I think this one is Senate Prudence yields 230 million profit. And
on what?
I'm interested. Yeah, and they said they were making some losses. And now with some prudent management, they've been able to...
After we shouted on them.
Does that mean they have enough money now to cater for people? You know, there was that report that said by 2030 or so, states will not have enough money to pay.
Yeah.
So let's get into that.
But 230 million, how much would they? How much will they cover? How many pensioners would they?
You can check the page number on the front page.
It's a page 6, and here is page 4,
page 4,
and then page 7.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether...
So just...
okay.
So it was turned around.
Okay. The guy didn't print it well. Okay. So Prudence, Senate Prudence yields 230 million profit. They were... this has transformed a deficit of over 300 million into a surplus exceeding 230 million, representing an improvement of 176% in its financial performance. This one, I think they went to PAC, the Public Accounts Committee, last Thursday to consider the audited financial statement of the trust for whatever. I don't know.
If it's really true, then?
So why was Senate making losses?
Management. Investments.
Oh, in their investment.
I'm going to have to take the paper. Let me just get a sense of what the story really is, and then I'll come back to you. So they're saying that the prudent management by the Social Security and National Insurance Trust has achieved a significant financial turnaround. And members of PAC commended highly the remarkable achievements, which was commended by the PAC during the PAC meeting. And the total income has increased, so there's a figure to it, by 35.1%. That is 5,272,000 in 2022, and that was an increase from 3,903,635 in 2021, mainly due to an increase in net contributions received. So it's from contributions.
Oh, okay.
They're collecting more money, so they are making more money.
Oh.
Then it's not.
People
are now.
Maybe I can.
This is 2022 figures. Not,
yeah, I can suggest.
2 years ago.
Yeah, this is 2 years ago.
You know, I want to suggest something to SMEs.
Right.
Yeah, it's free. You know, they have to collect with GRA when it comes to their contributions. You know, they should do one collection center to collect that money. So that while the person is paying PAYE, he's also paying SNET.
Right.
At the same time. You know, that one will help them to get more.
I'm sure they paid you.
Yes.
Nanaya.
Okay, on the front page, with the publisher, the Ghanaian publisher, we've spoken about His Excellency Bawumia unveiling 9 key initiatives to stimulate SMEs. Then we have His Excellency J. Kufuor saying Bawumia is well equipped to modernize the economy. For the first time, I don't agree with my uncle. Uncle,
also,
wherever you are, good morning. Today, I'm opposing you. For the first time, I don't agree.
What's your bone of contention?
My bone of contention is that if Bawumia has the skills to modernize the economy, why hasn't he done it now? Because that is the basis and the...
Quote, I have never been a president before.
It does not matter. He's been a vice president. A vice president is a surrogate president. Because when the vice president, the president is not around, the vice president is the one who takes over the management of the nation.
Right.
And they are together. The Constitution says that when you vote for the president, it is deemed that you have voted for the vice president, even though the vice president is not on the ballot paper. So for this one, I do not agree. He is not well equipped, because if he was well equipped, we would not be going through these troubles and he's quiet. Whatever equipment that he has to use it to help us. We have 3 or 4 months to go. He should redeem himself and let us know that he's well equipped. It is not by just talking. It is by your actions and what you can do to minimize the hardship of Ghanaians. For me, that is what I am most interested in. That we get up in the morning. Today you were showing something in, I think, around the White Volta.
Right.
Look at the filth and the dirt in a place like Tamale, which before was not like that. And no, it's as if nobody cares, as if nobody is running this country. There's filth everywhere. Ghana will not bear no Chihini assures. That one I agree with him. But assures with what? If there's anything, he should start talking to his nephews. Do you get? I agree with his statement, but he should start talking to his nephews and their utterances.
There was something that I picked on just by listening to your submission right now. Yesterday, he said that when he was talking about tax reforms, what he is proposing to do with tax flat rates and all that. And he said that no government has ever thought about restructuring or revising our tax structures yet. And I'm thinking to myself, but you are in government.
You are in government.
How are you confident enough to say that? No government has ever done that, and that's what you want to do, for which reason now we should vote for you. But you are still
Sweetie,
a vice president.
That is what I was saying, that the way they do things, the way and manner, it is disgraceful. And it looks like it's a joke. And it looks like they don't respect Ghanaians. You are in government. And Nanado is telling us, His Excellency Nanado, is telling us that he walked with you, talked with you, chatted with you. And he's never regretted picking you. And now you are saying that no government. So what are you talking about? So you are saying that now you have dichotomized yourself from the president who picked you, and saying that he's proud that he picked you. And saying that he worked with you. So it means that all the policies that government put together, you are aware of it.
There's a perception that majority of the voting population who, not majority, some of them who don't watch political talk shows and understand the issues and how we analyze them, would easily be swayed to vote for Bawumia because he's just not President Akufo-Addo.
It is not
true. They
true.
know President Akufo-Addo as the president. And so the fact that now we are offering Bawumia as this clean man who is not corrupt, who has all these wonderful ideas to turn the economy around, to lead us to solve. But if you've identified gaps in our development trajectory that you need to solve, that is a deficit on your side, because you have created, in the past 8 years, created those gaps, and now you want us to help you solve them. Just my thoughts. Mr. Kwalu, quickly, and then we
I think I've heard both of you on this.
You finished your submission.
And then I'm so...
I want one more.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh.
Reverend,
please let her finish, and then I'll come to you.
You don't have to even... We finish your newspaper. Why are you coming to talk again? Reverend Dr. Joyce, IE urges Ghanaians to embrace ethical leadership. I agree with it.
Okay.
Because leadership is cause.
Okay.
And every other thing is the effect of leadership. So we have to embrace leaders who have ethics, not those who come and lie to us.
All right. In about 30 seconds, a wrap up.
Okay, yeah. I'll take it like that. I agree with you, both of you, on this, that Bawumia is in government and he should be able to solve our problems. Yeah, I like that. And that means that 2024 elections, the only person who can solve our problems is this man sitting right here. It's Kofi Akpaloo. Because Mahama has been president before, and he couldn't do all that he's promising now. And Bawumia is also in government, and is not also doing same. So I'm the only solution. And Alan Martin was also in government. So, and they are all the three. They are all promising flat rate to the importers.
And what are you promising?
We are promising that we're going to make sure everything that we consume here, we produce them here. We are not going to import. We are not going to encourage, especially rice and poultry. After 6 months in government, there won't be, we are not going to allow anybody to import
well, thank you so much. My panel for this morning's news review. I have to let you pay. You have to pay. Come to advertise and campaign on our channel.
Oh, okay.
Janto is former General Secretary of the CPP, and Mr. Kofi Akpaloo is founder of the Liberal Party of Ghana. And those were my panel members for the news review segment. But before we go, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic is still offering free prostate screening and free fertility screening at their various locations in Accra on the Spintex Road, opposite the Shell signboard, in Kumasi, Bawumia, behind the Angel Educational Complex, in Takrade, Anaji Estate, in Tema Community 22, in Techiman, Hanswa, in Esiama, in Zima. And you can simply call them for inquiries on 0244-867-068 or 0274-234-321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Bringing us to sports up next. Stay tuned.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports here. I am Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party for this year's presidential elections. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has promised to upgrade football pitches in the country, as well as provide buses for Ghana Premier League clubs, and also enroll what the NPP described as Olympic 2028 glory. And according to him, his government will put in the right measures that will ensure sports in this country is fully developed.
We will establish a sports development fund to develop sports infrastructure and talent development and grassroots sports programs, including the revival of Colts football and leagues across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, we will establish a Ghana School Sports Secretariat, which will be an agency under the ministry responsible for sports, in collaboration with other stakeholders such as the GES and sports federations. My government will seek school-level collaboration with international sports bodies like the NBA and the NFL to make Ghana a hub for these emerging sports in Africa, to create more opportunities for young people. We have already tried this with the NFL, the governing body for American football. We will, ladies and gentlemen, also upgrade the surfaces of our football pitches to meet the highest international standards. And so we will be seeing an upgrading of the stadia in Kumasi, Accra, Cape Coast, Tamale, and Esipong to make sure that they meet the highest international standards. My government will also implement an effective maintenance module for our sports facilities. We will continue the construction of astroturfs for every constituency to boost the development of our talents, including juvenile football. We have increased astroturfs from 3 that we inherited to over 150 in 2024. We are going to start an Operation Olympics Glory program by dedicating resources towards the preparation of our athletes and their readiness for the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles, USA, including where necessary, targeting specific sports for medals. We will support the revival of the Premier League and clubs to improve commercial viability and create related jobs by directing policy through the National Lotteries Authority and the Gaming Commission to establish and fund a sports employment module to assist premier clubs fund operational expenses, including player remuneration. And also we will provide a bus to each Premier League club. And we will build 6 5,000-seater capacity stadia for the new regions, the 6 new regions, and we will build a standard stadium for Sunyani because of their love of football and the many clubs in Sunyani. We will promote school sports by establishing a Ghana School Sports Secretariat to create more opportunities for young people in sports and collaborate with international bodies, as I said, to make Ghana a hub for emerging sports.
Wow, lofty promises there for football and other sporting disciplines in the country. But one area that is still even lacking is the multi-purpose youth resource centers that government started constructing 6 years ago. Many of them are yet to be completed. And in fact, those that are completed have become breeding grounds for reptiles and taken over by weeds and trees. So for new ones to be built, many people on social media are actually suggesting that those ones should be completed first. Now, let's talk about one of the Ghana Premier League clubs that could potentially be getting a bus from President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia if he's voted president in December. Samatex, they are representing Ghana in the CAF Champions League. They were in Cameroon on Sunday to play their first ever CAF Champions League game when they came against Victoria United at the Japoma Stadium on Sunday. And Emmanuel Mama scored the only goal as they secured a first leg advantage ahead of the second leg that will be happening on the weekend of 22nd and 23rd of this month. And still, Guinness Ghana, they have launched what they describe as EPL Match Day event that will have football fans assemble and enjoy Premier League football. They use the opportunity to also unveil the Fantasy Premier League code for fans of English football. And a winner of that will have an opportunity of flying to England to enjoy a Premier League fixture. My colleague Elon Benaya Defiamapo was there and has details in this report.
Event, which took place at the Bandor Beer Garden in Osu, had hundreds of football fans as they assembled to watch Chelsea and Manchester City square off on match day 1 of the new Premier League season. The atmosphere was tensed as the game commenced, with fans glued to the screen, eager to see how the game unfolded. Despite Chelsea dominating in the first half with numerous chances, they were unable to capitalize on them against the defending champions, which left some fans frustrated. It was Manchester City who opened the deadlock as Erling Haaland attacked a pass from Bernardo Silva in the first half to give the defending champions the lead in the 18th minute. Mateo Kovacic doubled the lead in the 84th minute with a sweet strike from the outside of the box to secure victory and all 3 points for Pep Guardiola's men. While some fans, reluctant to leave, found a perfect reason to stay and enjoy some music, others spoke to Joy Sports.
It doesn't look like it's ever ending. Our troubles from last season as well as this season. So we'll just take it like that. 2-0 is distant. We'll just take it like that. We have no trouble. Guinness have been doing this since the inception of Guinness. And this time around, they've done it great. So we expect more of this from Guinness as we go on.
I think it was a nice game. I saw a lot of intensity in the game, but obviously the better side won. Well, if you look at the euphoria here, it's massive. I mean, people are enjoying, and I think that, I mean, something like this will bring a lot of football enthusiasts together.
This has been really wonderful. Actually, for me, this is my second edition here. The other time they hosted was United versus Tottenham here. Also came for that one. It was a nice encounter, but this one too has been great.
I was expecting us to win. The win was because I wanted us to put a surprise because we're the underdogs. But it was good. I mean, I loved it. I loved it. Plenty girls, plenty drinks, football, vibes, energy. I love it.
Brand manager of Guinness Ghana, Wilma Morsai, expressed her excitement about this year's edition.
The energy was there. It was bigger, it was better. I think this is our 4th edition and everybody came out because you know how we do it, right? And this time around, we launched the Guinness FPL where our ultimate winner gets a fully funded trip to watch an EPL game next season. So obviously the energy was there. We used this opportunity to also launch our Guinness football movie that's going to be showing on Showmax as well. And of course, we gave the general epic experience that was crafted by football. When we talk about football, we talk about Guinness. Guinness and football have been the best combo since time immemorial, right? This time, Guinness is the official beer sponsor of EPL. So we've been doing Guinness match days, but this time around is much special to us because this time we are coming in as the, beer owners of EPL. So it's been an amazing time for us. And there's so much more that we'll be doing with EPL. Just stay tuned, watch us, follow us, and you see all the amazing things that we'll be doing.
The evening ended on a positive note, leaving football fans with smiles, a feeling of satisfaction and anticipation for even more excitement in the next edition.
Let's talk about the dam spillage, the Bagri Dam spillage, which will cause the White Volta to overflow along its normal floodplains. And so residents and workers along the banks of the White Volta River have been asked to take precautionary measures against the adverse effects of this Bagri Dam spillage by Sonabel, and that is the power utility of Burkina Faso. And we are there for updates on how residents are bracing themselves up for this potential danger. But first, let's talk to Mr. Mahama Mumuni Akutia, and he's North Gonja District Director for NADMO of the Savannah region. Mr. Mahama, thank you for joining this conversation. Now, this isn't the first time that this dam spillage would be affecting residents along the White Volta, but what is the strategy to manage the spillage?
Good morning, madam. Good morning to your listeners. This is not the first time. Every year, especially from August to September, we normally experience flooding, especially when they spill the Bagri Dam. And this is the time. But the only advantage we have this year, the rainy pattern in northern sector is very bad. So, and as far as they are opening the dam today, and we feel the impact maybe, let's say, 1 week later, before it will get to North Gonja. And so far, we are going around with my zonal coordinators, sensitize the people to move to the haven areas.
Are you offering transportation support? Yes, we can hear you. You said you're going around and mobilizing people. Are you offering transportation support for these people who should relocate?
No. We are asking them to move high level. Mm-hmm. And those farmers who farm close to the rivers to hurry up to harvest their crops.
You mentioned that it will take a week before we feel the impact of this dam spillage. And then you say that you're asking them to hurry up and harvest their crops. How long do they have? A week? Is that enough time to harvest their crops? And if not, what is the alternative strategy here?
There is no any alternative than to do what we are asking them to do. We are asking them to hurry up, especially those who are harvesting their groundnut and maize, so that they can mobilize their families to help them to harvest and move to the high level.
But what is that? What response are you getting so far? Are they willing to move? Are they willing to speed up their harvest? Okay.
Yes, they are complying. You know, we are always with them. We advise them, and whenever we are talking to them, they listen.
Okay, Mr. Mama, please hold for me. We have a Savannah region correspondent on the phone with us, online with us, and we want to get a sense of the atmosphere as we speak. Isaac Nonya is our Savannah correspondent. Isaac, thank you for joining the conversation. Now, this spillage expected to start today. What is the atmosphere in the region, especially in the communities along the White Volta?
Because last year, the water was not spilled. And this year, they were even anticipating that they should spill the water early so that those who are fisher folks were able to go into the waters to be able to catch their fish. Now that they want to spill, I think the anticipating is that they are very happy, especially the fisher folks, knowing that when they spill, they were able to make do with their business. Alongside that, you have these fishmongers around Yape in particular, who are also anticipating that when the water spills, the fishermen will get fish and bring it to them to enhance their business. They're actually worried. A week ago, I spoke with a few of them. They are saying that, look, this year the fish market is low because water level is low. And when it's like that, the fishermen don't get enough cash. The other angle we need to look at is that settlers or farmers along Bawumia, Yape, getting to the eastern part of the north southern part of West Gonja, many of them are farmers. And these farmers continuously live there and farm because that's where they make their daily bread. You know, over the years, NADMO has tried to permanently relocate these people, but they will move and return to the extent that some have put some temporary structures there and they are living. What we are foreseeing this year is that the impact is not likely to be heavy because once the water was not spilled last year, the ground is so dried and the saturation level of the environment will not be that much. And these fishermen have lived and worked in that area and they know the likely impact that will come with the water. So NADMO has a lot to do, but I can assure you that residents will not move permanently. They will do the wait and see attitude. They are there in their numbers, and they are expecting that the water will bring more fish for them. As for the farmers, due to the droughts in the area, many of them have not made enough cultivation this year. They were expecting that the rainfall will come, and the vegetable farmers in particular, along the Bawumia Yape stretch, especially Yape by the river, they do a lot of vegetable cultivation. This year, nil. Also, they do a lot of maize cultivation along that stretch, also nil. So you don't have enough crops along the river bank this year, unlike previous years. So the impact will not be that much.
Right. Isaac, you said the people will not move permanently. Is it a security issue, concerns about their properties and means of livelihood? Is that the reason? I mean, if you live in and along the White River, it means that every time that this Bagri Dam needs to be spilled, you face potential danger. What is the reason behind their unwillingness to move permanently, do you think?
The reason for the property is one, but that one is minor.
Okay.
Minor in the sense that if they move, they are afraid that if they relocate, they cannot come back and get their place to continue their business. Others will come before them and take over. One. Number two, you also realize that these are people who live in the area and they think that they are master of all. they can, when it comes to water, they can swim out and do their own things. They only cry out when those who are into farming lose their crops. But if you look at where they reside, especially at Yapi, it's not up to 100 meters away from the riverbank. But they are built permanent structures and they are there, comfortably there. That's why over the years, NADMO has not been able to.
We have some, I think, connection challenges with Isaac over there. But let me...
permanently.
Isaac, you're back. Go, continue. We lost you there for a brief second, but finish your trail of thought.
Hello?
Isaac, if you can hear me, continue your submission. We lost you there for a brief second, and unmute and speak to us.
West Mampusi, somewhere Walla. That project is completed, and the residents have relocated permanently, and are there. But in the case of the White Volta, Yape in particular,
Isaac, I have to bring you back. What I last heard before your connection was lost is that you don't understand why NADMO has not been able to do what exactly?
Not be able to relocate these people permanently, and to avoid it being an annual ritual. You go to appeal to them all the time. Some move, some don't. Why is it that they don't go? Because you realize that after the flood, you see a lot of properties being washed away, and they will come back to stay. When you ask them, they will tell you that, where are we moving to stay? You get that? So NADMO should address that issue of being able to partner with landowners and for them to relocate these people permanently and allow the riverbanks to be free of disaster.
Okay. Please hold for me. Luckily, we have Mr. Mahama online with us. He's the Gonja District Director for NADMO. Mr. Mahama, you were saying that the people are complying and they're willing to move. But I guess the real issue here is why every year or every time that there's a spillage, you have to relocate people temporarily and bring them back. Why has NADMO not been able to move these people permanently to free up the normal flood plains?
Madam, you know, the people over there have stayed there for a long time. And moving them from where they are is very difficult. Only the Boy Township, Sisipe, we were able to convince them to move upwards. They moved from Sisipe to Kasabanape. They have already moved. And it's now better for their structure. But as for their farm, they are still farming where they are. And their hope is whenever there is a flood, after the water has subsided, they quickly go back there and sow beans, white beans. So for that matter, they don't want to move from where the flood is taking.
But is this strategy sustainable then, Mr. Mahama?
Hello?
Is this strategy of moving them every time and they would have to come back, is this sustainable?
No. They are not coming back with their structures. They come there to farm and fish. So they have temporary structures like hut and all those temporary structures that they are putting over there. Well, and this year, we are having a particular problem that we are going to talk to them. You know, there is ongoing construction the Boya River. And they are new to the situation. So we are going to talk to the contractors to be much aware about the spillage.
Okay, Mr. Ahmad, do you have a sense of the impact or expected impact of this flood? As at Friday, we understand that the water level was around 232.8 meters and still rising. As we speak, today that's going to start this spillage. What is the water level as we speak, and what is the expected impact of this spillage?
Really, the expected impact will not be much because this year the rain pattern in the Savannah area is too low, and we don't know how it will impact. But as for now, the rain pattern at Savannah, particularly in the North Gonja, is very bad. So that the impact will not be much.
And is this a conclusion deriving from hydrological experts monitoring the situation, or are you just speculating that it will not be?
No. That's my experience. And you know, every year we always experience flooding from August to the September, and we are more than middle of August. So by October, and so the water will start subsiding. So the impact will not be long.
Yes, but what I want to find out from you is how are you arriving at this conclusion that the impact will not be much?
I'm arriving on this conclusion because I'm a native there.
But as a native living there, you cannot speak to the certainty of whether the impact will be much or not if you're not a hydrological expert, Mr. Mahama.
Oh, exactly so. For that one, I agree with you. I don't know the impact, but with my experience and what the level is, I think it will be better this year. And we don't know the volume that is coming, really.
Good.
All right. Mr. Mahama, thank you so much for joining us and shedding more lights on this dam spillage and the impacts that it will have on people living in and along the White River. Isaac, so as we speak, do you know if majority of the people have already located since the spillage is expected to start today?
That I cannot confirm. But if what I've seen around Yape, the river bank there, is anything to go by, they have not made any move yet. It's the wait and see attitude. Let me say this about the impact. You know, one cannot easily confirm whether it's going to be huge or not, depending on the contour of the inflow of the water. It could be that fine. The rain pattern this year has been very bad. The whole environment is dried. And water, no matter how it comes, it will not do anything. But we cannot take that one for granted because the quantity might be very, very huge than the previous years. So NAMO will have to sit up. Residents will have to sit up. They should not take anything for granted. Let me add that the entire enclave of North Gonja and Central Gonja, specifically Yape, is a clay environment. The soil is clay. So it can absorb a water to a level and then bring it out. And particularly August, September, in August, that particular 2 months, there's always torrential rain, and the environment cannot soak all the water that comes with the rain. So the thing that comes from the Bagri Dam, it floods all the farmlands. And those living around Yape in particular, they are setting the time bomb to the extent that they live in permanent structures, the river banks along Yape. They live in permanent structures in less than 300 meters away from the main river. So that is another area, and this falls within the Central Gonja district. Officials, they will need to sit up.
Right.
And with the chiefs, the landowners, and see how they can permanently relocate these people, because we are setting a time bomb.
Right.
That particular community.
Isaac, hold for me. I'll come back to you for your final thoughts before we wrap. We also have the Communications Director of NADMO with us, Mr. George A.C. Mr. A.C., thank you for joining the conversation. What is your assessment of this expected spillage and the impact it would have on people and the communities in and along the White River, White Volta?
Yeah, thank you. Good morning to your viewers. Yes, we've gotten a letter from the Sonobel authorities in Burkina Faso letting us that today they are going to begin the spillage of the Bagri Dam. And we know the consequences downstream, especially in Ghana. And so districts, the regional director of NADMO for Upper East and all the other adjoining regions have been elected to be on the standby, and they've started conscientizing and getting people to move their properties, especially movable ones, like goats, cattle, and others that are close to the banks of the river to safety places. We're also encouraging them to integrate with families in safer and higher lands and all that. So the sensitization is begun. We're involving the opinion leaders, the chiefs, the police, and other security agencies to support. And so there's absolute cooperation so far. You know, it's going to start from the Upper East region. We are looking at the Bibila district, the Napdam, the Pusiga districts, Boku, Talensi, Binduri, Fumbisi districts. These are the first places to be hit before it gets down to Northeast, and then going to where your resource person just mentioned, the Savannah areas and northern region. So the conscientization is there. We put our zonal officers and district officers on standby to look at the rate of rise of the water level as the spill goes on. Normally, it would take about 3 to 6 days to have an impact downstream, especially in Ghana. And so the sensitization is going on.
Ms. IC, you said you have your agents monitoring the water level. Last Friday was 232.8 meters and still rising. What do we have as of today, as we speak?
No, I don't have the figure. I'm also with the 232.82 that we have. They will be doing physical observation. So, you know, as I said, people have permanent structures about 300 meters along the banks of the river, and these people must be moved when the level begins to rise. Some also decide to cross to go to their farms and all that. So these people monitoring will be able to stop them from going or assist them to cross for their safety. So that is what we are doing. And those who have things like maize and co on their farms and they are ready for harvesting, we encourage them to harvest them before the 3 to 6 days elapse, where the rise level will begin to cause damage along the banks.
So can you say to a hydrological certainty that the impact of this spillage will not be much, as Mr. Mahama was trying to was saying? Do you know, can you gauge the impact of the spillage this time around?
Yeah, it depends on the volume of spillage. If the volume rises, definitely, and if there are permanent assets like, farms and others, it will be difficult. But on livestock and others, there will be minimal impact because we are moving them to safer grounds and the human beings to safer places. Yes, I agree that the impact is definitely going to be minimal because of the conscientization and sensitization that has begun.
Now, the challenge, though, is that this isn't the first time this is happening. And every time residents have to move and then they find themselves coming back. What is the challenge with, you know, collaborating with landowners to permanently move residents so that you can free up this, you know, the normal floodplains? What's the challenge there?
It's difficult because that's the most fertile places along, you know, the banks. Those are the fertile places for their farming activities. And so definitely the authorities have tried to move them, but it's difficult. The moment the water level recedes, the people get back to do their farming because that is the most fertile areas for their farm activity. So it's difficult and challenging. But however, if the authorities decide that we are going to put a permanent stop to that, then that will be an executive power that we need to invoke to get them to an identified safer places. But definitely, we can do that if we say they shouldn't put permanent structures there. But the farming activities, it will be difficult because that's the most fertile areas that they do their crop farming.
Now, be that as it may, you say the impacts will be minimal. What are you doing? What is your mobilization strategy to contain this spillage then? To manage the situation so that, you know, lives and means of livelihood is not lost?
Yeah, that's what we've said. As for the means of livelihood, they must be farmers and livestock people. And so if we can save the livestock and the farm produce, we are saying if they are due for harvesting, they're ripe, you go and begin the harvesting before the water level rises to levels that will begin to cause destructions. And if you were in those parts of the country in these spillage times, it's very hard. You see whole farmland inundated by flood waters, and the farmers sometimes weeping, and the investment is hard to mention. That's what we are doing, sensitizing them, and livelihood, the human laws that I believe we can bring under control, and we can say with certainty that if people pay heed to the stoppage of people from crossing, some people, because if they want to go to their farms and you say no, the level, by the time you return from the farm, it may be up and you cannot cross. They will be adamant. Those are the ones that we are trying to get under control. If people pay heed to this, we can assure that human loss will be very minimal or zero.
Mr. IC, last question before I let you go, more like a reiteration of a point. You are sure that this spillage will not go beyond the normal floodplains or be more destructive than you anticipate? I think we lost Mr. George IC then. He's communications director.
I'm here.
Yes, I was asking you to reiterate the point or reassure the people that this spillage will not go beyond the normal floodplains that you're expecting the spillage to use, and will not be more destructive than you anticipate.
Yes, I've said that it will depend on the volume of spillage. If the volume of the rate of rise in the dam is quicker, then the volume of spillage is going to be higher.
Right.
And if it's higher, the inundation is going to be higher. But because we are conscientizing people and moving them to safe places and helping them integrate with families in safer places, we can assure that life loss will be minimal or zero. But
and this assurance is also coming on the back that you are prepared for the worst case scenario. That's the question.
You said we should prepare for...
This reassurance, is it coming on the back that you are prepared for the worst case scenario?
Yes, definitely. We've engaged all the stakeholders and we are working together. I can assure the people of that.
Thank you so much, Mr. George IC. He's Communications Director for NADMO. We also spoke to Mr. Mahama Mumuni Akutian, North Gonja District Director for NADMO. But let me wrap with Isaac Nonya. Isaac, before I let you go, these farmers who are happy that at least they're going to be getting water in Fisher Folk, what do you think, what's the final preparations that they're making? Like, what's a wrap of everything happening ahead of the spillage this morning?
I can tell you that a good number of them who have moved to other communities or districts are beginning to relocate with their nets, getting ready for business, right? I can tell you that very soon you will hear from them. They are very happy that Bawumia is about to open. Listening to what the NADMO officer said, I think there should be a way out in trying to contain the damage that the water will bring. Why don't they contact authorities about it to know the volume of water they are going to discharge?
Right.
And then to find out whether the previous year they spilling is going to be the same as this year, or this year is going to be more. So that it will help them to prepare adequately. Secondly and lastly, I think the traditional leaders, the chiefs, the people who reside in this area, listen to them more than the NADMO officers.
Right.
And I don't know, being the landowners, who gave this land to the people who reside there with the permanent structures? Why don't they cooperate with NADMO? Or why not NADMO cooperate with the chiefs to see how they can inject these people or give them land elsewhere to relocate and leave the danger zone? Until that is done, this cosmetic exercise will always happen every year until lives that should be prevented will be lost. I think the chiefs, I don't want to say they have failed, they should sit up and support NADMO and help them to relocate all those people that have given the land to live around the river there, to move.
Isaac
but as the saying goes, yes.
Thank you so much.
That's okay.
We do have to go. Isaac is our Savannah regional correspondent, helping us to keep an eye on the intended spillage of the white volta coming from the Bagri Dam from Burkina Faso. But there's still more coming your way on the AM show. Before we end this belt of conversation, though, get ready for the Pastors Kids Conference 2024. That is a legacy edition. Are you a child of a pastor, preacher, or a Christian minister? You are not alone. Join other pastors' children from all denominations for the Pastors Kids Conference 2024 under the theme Legacy. Of course, the host is Apostle Francis Ajinosare, and this is coming off on the 24th of August 2024 at the Perez Dome at Jowlu Junction right here in Accra. It starts at 9 a.m. prompt, and there'll be song ministration by Kofi Osopepra, Inyunyam, Mrs. Ella Ajinosare, PKC Choir, and others, and it's absolutely free. And it would be an exciting time for networking, music, learning, and empowerment. So you don't want to miss it. If you want to register or call for further inquiries, simply call 055-006-8632. Remember, it is absolutely free. This is the Pastors Kids Conference 2024, the Legacy Edition, and we'll see you soon. Okay, we'll turn around and we'll be back with more conversations on the AM show. A choice between a better future and a bleak past. Vice President and presidential candidates for the NPP, Dr. Bawumia, has drawn the line, the battle lines, as he's delivered his party's 2024 manifesto. And he describes it as one of hope that will usher the nation into a golden age of good governance and accountability. He says the next NPP government will tackle head-on cost of living, youth unemployment, private sector empowerment, and roads, among others. And this morning, we want to probe highlights in the manifesto. And we will discuss this with our panel. We have Charles Kusi-Appiah-Kubi. He's head of Business and Economic Bureau and Executive Secretary of Ashanti Business Owners Association. We also have Professor Lord Mensah, economist and lecturer, UGBS, and of course, Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, a CDD fellow. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this conversation. Right, we have Dr. John Osai-Kwapong with me right now. And Doc, I want to come to you and ask this question to set the ball rolling. After listening to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, which, I mean, the speech ended around 8:30 thereabouts, what was your impression of the entire manifesto launch event and what he promises to do if given the mandate come December 2024?
Good morning again. Good morning to everyone else. It's, you know, he's making the case for a Bawumia presidency and rolls out a number of policies and programs across the various sectors of the economy that he believes, if implemented, would, you know, address all the various challenges that Ghana faces, or the people of Ghana are saying, and, you know, they are feeling about different issues. As usual, it was, you know, very well attended event, got the party really excited about the 2024 election. And I mean, as is typical of the political party manifestos that we have seen over the course of the Fourth Republic, does cover quite a lot of ground and promises to do a lot of things in several areas of the economy. So those are my initial impressions.
I do want us to take a listen to some of the things he said, and then we can get surgical with it. But I want to ask, though, he described it as a manifesto of hope. How hopeful did you find his promises?
I mean, if you go through and look at some of the key ideas, for example, around issues of job creation and unemployment. Yes, there's the question of, you know, with political manifestos, there's always the question of the extent to which all of it can be done within a given time frame, you know, and how it's going to be done and all of that. But at least in the ideas being being put out, right? That when you sit back as a Ghanaian or as a voter, your initial feeling should be, well, if all of these things can be done within a certain time frame, then it should be able to address some of our key challenges that we face.
All right, so let's take a listen to what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been saying or is proposing, especially on the, in terms of corruption. Take a listen.
ECD is designed to work on. The ECD is designed to work online and offline and will be launched by the Bank of Ghana in due course. The ECD will be the ultimate weapon in our fight against corruption because it will provide transparency, reduce the risk of fraud, robbery, tax avoidance, and money laundering, since it will be easy to track the movement of money and identify suspicious activity. The ECD will quicken the pace of Ghana's move towards a cashless or a near cashless society. We will also, ladies and gentlemen, implement blockchain technology and smart contracts for secure data exchange and transparent government services. Employing a distributed ledger technology improves transparency and efficiency. This will make all government transactions permanently traceable and not subject to alteration. I want Ghana to be the first country in Africa and one of the few in the whole world to become an all-government blockchain government.
Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, what do you make of these assertions and submissions, promises from DMB, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, on how he intends to use ECD to tackle corruption?
So I'm not very familiar with how these digital currencies work. I have a basic idea, right? It's supposed to be an alternative to be able to doing cash transactions. You store it in digital wallets. It reduces the use of the fiscal cash in various transactions. So that's the basic idea, that I get. But I think for us, at least if you look at, for example, the Auditor General's report and the issues that are raised in the Auditor General's report, and a lot of the infractions that occur in the management of public finance, I don't get the impression that a lot of those infractions are an issue of digital currency. I mean, I can see how it can help if the use of fiscal cash facilitates the engagement in corrupt activities. And therefore, when you're using an ECD, you are better able to track who is doing what illegally or improperly with currency. But for me, the corruption challenge is more than just a digital currency issue. Yes, that can help, but the corruption challenge goes beyond how you solve it with a digital currency. The infractions that you see, as pointed out by the Auditor General, some of the procurement breaches that you see, for me, will take more than just a digital currency to be able to address that.
And he actually did mention that he intends to restructure procurement processes, in his bid to fight corruption. How feasible is that particular promise? You said that it goes beyond ECD, it goes beyond the currency. And so, of course, there's a lot to be done in the fight against corruption. And then there's Office of the Special Prosecutor and their challenges and achievements so far. But how feasible is it to restructure procurement processes in our bid to tackle corruption?
It should be. So, for example, if he takes a look at the Public Procurement Act and is able to identify still some of the loopholes or some of the flaws that makes public procurement still challenging. It should be very feasible to restructure, to work with Parliament, restructure the legislation, strengthen some of the processes involved, by law. But again, there's always the implementation challenge, because once you are able to restructure it by virtue of the law, then it also is up to the agency to implement it. And it's sometimes in the implementation of the rules and the processes that gets us into the difficulties that we run into. So hopefully the restructuring will also include, should I say, penalties or punishments at the agency level, should those at the procurement agency fail to live by whatever restructured processes, policies that are put in place. But that can be done. We can always, it's quote unquote, it's easy to restructure and tweak how we go about procurement.
And then there's the bit about leasing vehicles, rather than buying them. What did you make of that as well?
So, he shared this idea when he gave his major policy speech earlier on during the year. The rationale behind it is that it helps reduce the cost of government in terms of buying the vehicles and all of that. So again, for me, if you can, if I can structure in such a way that it actually reduces the cost, then it wouldn't be a bad idea. One of the things, again, you want to guard against in the leasing processes, the procurement challenge that we talk about, that lease corruption is, how do you make it open, transparent in such a way that whoever is contracted by the government to lease it, that it is done in a very open and transparent way. But if that would reduce the cost of government, which was the rationale he provided months ago when he gave his first major policy speech, again,
right.
Why not?
I do want us to take a listen to another soundbite, but before we get on that's more specific. Let me ask, overall, can we see or say that Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has articulated a consistent and clear message for victory in 2024? What did you take out as that unique selling proposition for Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia for December 2024?
So if you go back to, if I use his major policy speech earlier on during the year, as the context for answering this, then yes, he keeps highlighting the same themes and the same issues. For example, if you look at his suggestions around the economy, issues of taxation, all of that, you see that he has constantly, talked about the same things in terms of, what he plans to do around taxation, what he plans to do around job creation. So for that message, he's kept very, very consistent with that. The question then becomes, to what extent will the voters, trust and believe that these things can be done? Because at the end of the day, all the great ideas and all the things that are proposed in these political manifestos, in my opinion, will boil down to which of the candidates does the Ghanaian voter trust will be able to deliver. And deliver in terms of not every single thing in the manifesto, but at least would be able to tackle a lot of the things in the manifesto to address whatever challenges that the Ghanaian folks are facing. But at least he's framed his message as one of possibility, as one of looking forward, and he continues to sort of hammer on that theme over and over again, which you end up seeing in the manifesto.
Right. Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, please hold for me. Let me bring in the Executive Secretary of Ashanti Business Owners Association, and he's also the Head of Business and Economic Bureau at GUTA, Mr. Charles Kusi Appiah-Kubi. Mr. Charles Kusi Appiah-Kubi, yesterday, the country was told that Bawumia is for business, and he's gone on to elaborate on what he intends to do, his ambition, aims, and promises for the country given the mandate. What is your assessment of his promises in terms of his vision for business, and what are your reservations?
much, and good morning to you, to your viewers, and to the country. Yes, yesterday we had the privilege to listen to the Vice President, who is also running as the presidential candidate for NPP. And I must say, I was so much impressed with the promises that he outlined for businesses and for the rebound of the economy. And I might say we've had the opportunity of meeting with him and his team during some of his talks, and we made noting some of the challenges and the reforms that we are looking for as businesses. And his manifesto speaks to the issues that we raised with him and the recommendation that we gave. So I would say the manifesto that His Excellency outlaid yesterday was exactly what businesses was asking for, and we are most grateful to him, and we are impressed with the delivery. Okay, so we're looking at the
what's the highlights for you that you're celebrating or you're grateful for this morning? What in the manifesto or what in his promises for businesses are you happy about?
One of the things that we're so much happy was about the amnesty that he wants to
Mr. Charles,
like the tax amnesty. Can you hear me?
I think we are having some connection challenges with Mr.
Can you hear me now? Hello? Can you please hear me?
Mr. Kusi, please go on.
Okay. So one of the key things that we're so much happy about was the tax amnesty that was given to businesses. Over the period, we raised concern about the tax net of this country and the burden that is placed on registered tax agents. So today, if we are going to give businesses tax amnesty, it also means that it's going to open the floodgate for every business to come on board and paying taxes. That will reduce the tax burden that has been on that the few identified businesses in the country. Two, we're looking at flat tax rates. The current VAT system brings a lot of disparity, which defiles the basic principle of taxation, that is fairness and equity. So within the market, you have people on flat rate 4%. We have those on standard rate effective rate of 21%. Selling the same commodities do not create that self-compliance. So a lot of people are not paying taxes, they are avoiding taxes, they are evading taxes because of the structure and the non-compelling compliance of the current taxes. So if it's going to harmonize the tax system to ensure flat rate, it's a good news for us. So self-compliance, which is one of the principles of taxation, that tax must resonate to the issues of business so that business will find it much more easier to pay taxes. So he also talks about how he's going to benchmark charges at a port that of Lomé. You remember in 2017 or so, the Vice President talked about transactions between Tema and that of Lomé. And it's an assessment, transactions of the Lomé by container volumes was about 200% within a certain quarter. Again, we're doing about 4%. So they introduced the benchmark value to ensure that we increase trade transactions at the port, which of course helped the government to reach in some revenue. And it's also reduced the cost of importing at the port, which of course has a positive effect on prices in the market. So if in his manifesto he's going to align our import taxes or charges to that of Lomé, that's a good news. That's going to be a relief to us as businesses. He also talks about the SME bank. You see, the current status quo made it difficult for most of about 80% of SME to access facilities from the commercial banks because of the rudiment and some of the documentation you have to go through before you get credit. Introducing an SME obviously will mean that it's going to speak to the challenges of credit assessment in this country. That will mean that SMEs will have easy access to funding to grow their business, expand business, and employ more team youth that are unemployed. some of these things resonate with the issues that we're looking at as business. So if you ask me, key issues is what I've just highlighted for you to consider. Yeah.
One of the challenges with taxing is that people generally do not want to pay tax. These line items that you've highlighted, are they going to incentivize Ghanaians to now start paying taxes? I mean, if you say that you're giving us a fresh start, does that actually encourage Ghanaians to start paying taxes going forward?
It is a good start, but what goes beyond that is education. Okay, we need to educate the business environment why we need to pay taxes. And one other thing is, after paying taxes, what do we use our taxes for? If I pay taxes and I see the benefit, I'll be encouraged to do. So the first start is to give us amnesty. The second start is to harmonize the environment to make compliance so high. Self-compliance is what we're talking about. Over the period, what has happened is this. Because governments want to rake in more revenue, they always seek to increase taxes. And there's a model what was professed by Arthur Leffer, which says that increasing taxes does not always mean you're going to get a lot of revenue. And increasing taxes makes it much more difficult for business to pay. But if you harmonize it, if you reduce it, it will encourage more people to get into the tax net. So we are so much convinced with such policies, if it's well implemented, you get a lot of businesses willingly and on their own volition complying with the tax policy. Let me cite another typical example. When you look at the administration and the structure of our current VAT system, when you get to a typical market like the FMCG, that is the fast movable consumer goods, like the rice, the daily foods that we eat. In my shop, maybe I am rated as 4% flat rate agent. The next shop is on standard rate, on 21% effective rate. We are selling the same rice or oil. When you, as a customer, comes to the market, you are looking at affordable product, but quality of that matter. So you obviously will come to me who is on 4% flat rate, because my price, or what you call it, my cost will be cheaper, my price will be cheaper. But the other shop cannot sell the price that I'm selling. So over the period, you'll be losing out. And because he might be having obligations to meet, either with the banks or paying statutory levy, you'll be compelled not to even charge the standard rate. That is where a lot of avoidance and evasion of tax comes in.
Right.
But when there's harmony, the next shop, if it's on 4% flat rate like I enjoy, he can easily apply the 4% flat rate, and by so doing, he's paying the tax.
Right. Mr. Kusiapia, hold for me. Let's go for our next sound bite and we continue the conversation. But I thought your loudest applause line will come for his promise to abolish betting tax. You didn't touch on that. Let's go for our next sound bite to continue the conversation afterward.
Doubt to believe it is crystal clear from the data-backed account we have given that our overall performance and track record are superior to that of my opponent and his party in virtually every sector. Virtually every sector we are superior. But I believe, as a former president and a proud student of history, he knows that. And that is one part of the reason why he is avoiding a debate. The other part, of course, is about the courage and the confidence to put what he intends to do differently this time around with the power he seeks, side by side to the vision I have for Ghana and the clear roadmap to getting the work done. That is the choice we are presenting to you, the Ghanaian voter, on December 7th.
Let me go to Dr. John Osai-Kwapo. Doc, so the Vice President is saying that his performance, and by that I mean the Akufo-Addo administration, has performed superior than any other government in the history of the Fourth Republic. And for that reason, he thinks the former President John Dramani Mahama is running away from a debate, because if both of them are put on the same stage and the questions are posed to them, he will come out victorious. What do you make of that?
Let me work my way backwards. On the question of the debates, though, I'm not of the opinion that the former president will be unable to debate the vice president on the economy or any other governance issues, in the lead up to the 2024 election. I mean, I know the NDC has made its position very clear that they will not take part in any presidential debates this year, and they've offered their reasons for that. Excuse me. But I am not of the opinion that the former president will be unable to debate Dr. Bawumia, on the economy, on governance issues as part of the 2024 election. Now, I know the NPP government regularly reiterates the point that their performance has been superior to that of the John Mahama administration that they inherited.
Yeah.
And with all due respect, if you look at some of the indicators, though, that some of the indicators do not bear out fully that assertion. So, for example, if you take a look at inflation, if you look at where inflation stood as of 2016, and then if you look at the rates of inflation that we have seen over the course of this administration. In fact, their own manifesto does note that inflation went as high as 54%, has come down at the end of 2023, and we are beginning to see a lowering trend so far in 2024, which still stands at 20 point something, almost 21%, which is still higher than what they inherited. Yes, they prefer and they give reasons as to the economic challenges that we have faced. The argument is always the twin effects of the global health crisis, COVID-19, as well as the Russian-Ukraine war, right? But I, in my honest opinion, and with all due respect, if you look at a number of the indicators, I think it is not on all of the indicators that you can make that assertion that the economic performance and the achievements have been that superior, because not all of the economic indicators will bear out that argument. Yes, between 2017 and 2019, some of the indicators were starting to trend well and starting to look good. But I think if you look overall, some of the indicators will not bear out the fact that it's been, totally superior to the Mahama administration. Right. And therefore is the basis why John Mahama doesn't want to debate him.
Okay, so given the, current, not a current, but the economic indicators that you yourself have just, elaborated on, and the challenges really that we are facing in terms of high inflation, rising public debts, fuel, hike in food prices and all that, do you think that his promises in this, manifesto to lead us to solve actually meets Ghanaians at the point of our needs in terms of the economy?
Yes. I mean, if you look at some of the ideas being proposed around job creation, because job creation continues to be, if you look at the polls that have been done this year, if you look at Afrobarometer over 9 rounds, unemployment continues to be the main issue. So yes, if you look at some of the ideas that are being proposed in terms of how you deal with the unemployment situation, how you get the economy really going, again, if it can all be implemented and without any hiccups, I do see the prospects of how it can help address the many pinch points that Ghanaians are facing. Okay, please hold for me. We have Professor Lord Mensah with us, and he's an economist and lecturer in University of Ghana Business School. Professor Lord Mensah, thank you for joining the conversation. First, what did you make of
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's manifesto, "To lead is to solve." And then we'll go and listen to some of the things he said specifically, and then we have a conversation on that.
Yeah, generally, there are things put together, for Ghanaians to consume, to decide whether they would like to, vote for the NPP party or they would like to change, If you look at the numbers that were churned out, looking at the GDP, how it has grown and all those, clearly that is what we see. But the question we need to ask ourselves is, is the growth inclusive, or does the growth trickle down to the ordinary person's, pocket? That is what we don't see. And for me, if you put out these numbers, of course, depending on your lens, if you're looking at the economy, from that macro scale level, then obviously you would say that, yes, we are growing. But then at the individual level, it's not that as we see.
Let's listen to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia specifically on what he plans to do with the economy to turn it around, and then we'll be back.
Fact that between 2020 and 2022, we experienced severe challenges triggered by the pandemic, which brought the world and our country to a thundering halt. The world experienced the greatest economic depression since the 1930s, with most countries recording negative GDP growth. Supply chain disruptions and the rising price of oil resulted in major increases in the prices of fuel, freight, and food across the globe. Indeed, Ghanaians were hit very hard by rising food prices, increased exchange rate depreciation, rising fuel prices, and rising transport fares. Our debt became unsustainable and had to be restructured. Bondholders saw a sharp decline in their net worth following the painful yet unavoidable debt restructuring program. We faced very challenging times, but with calm leadership and the support and understanding of the good people of Ghana, we have weathered the storm, and the economy is firmly on the path of recovery, with increasing GDP growth and declining inflation. It is gratifying to note that our policy interventions have started yielding the desired macroeconomic results. Many economists and analysts have rightly stated that Ghana has turned the corner, but we know that for many families, the cost of living is still very high. The hardship is real, and we commit to doing more to relieve the difficulties Ghanaians are facing.
Well, so there you have it. And I just want to put this in context. In 2020, the NPP promised an economic recovery and growth, that is post-COVID economic recovery, and they pledged to implement policies, support businesses, create jobs, stabilize the economy. After the setbacks that the COVID-19 pandemic caused. And they said they were making initial successes, and then Russia-Ukraine war also came in. At this point in time, Professor Lord Mensah, is Russia-Ukraine war still a justifiable excuse, for which reason they're asking us for 4 more years to do what they requested 4 more to do more 4 years ago?
Yeah, well, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Hello?
Yes, Prof, go on. We can hear you.
Right. So if you ask me, I would say that, yes, indeed,
I think we are struggling to connect with Professor Lord Mensah. Let me throw that question to Dr. John Osai-Kwapon. Doc, so 4 years ago, they said we should give them 4 more to do more in the economy, and they promised to lead us to the journey of recovering the economy after the setbacks that the COVID-19 and Russia and Ukraine war, all that. Is that still a justifiable excuse for which reason they want more years to do the same thing that they promised us to do, and they've had 8 years to do already?
Several months ago, I wrote that the argument of COVID-19, right? I mean, everybody acknowledges that the COVID-19 global crisis did hit a lot of economies around the world.
Doc, I'm sorry I have to do this. I think Professor Lord Mensah is back on, and I do want to get a sense of his thoughts. Prof?
No problem.
Yeah.
Yes. So what I was saying is that I think my line is breaking here. I don't know whether it's coming from your end or my end. But what I was saying is that Russian-Ukraine war had impact, but then at the end of the day, by this time, the impact should have dissipated by now. I mean, let's face the fact. Russian-Ukraine war may have impact on our economy, maybe through, oil prices on the global market. But we didn't see oil price, surging as expected. On the global market during the difficulties to, just the Russian-Ukraine war and the COVID. There is an internal, issues or, mismanagement that we may have to deal with. And as a result of that,
it is rather unfortunate
we had this kind of escalation. Let's appreciate that when you're looking at the economy from the macro front, you may say that we are doing well, as I was, saying earlier. But then at the individual level or the micro level, it is quite difficult. And we know very well that Africa Ghanaian has reduced completely as a result of inflation. Inflation went to 54 point something, and the momentum that it gathered to go to that level of 54.1, it still lingers on the market. We can ask our wives. They will tell you that prices are still going up. We can see that, yes, indeed, we are doing quite a different ball game altogether. What I did not see in throwing out all these macro gains, is the liabilities that we've incurred as a result of, this macro gain. If I talk about liability, I'm looking at our debt, our debt to 53 billion and over, whilst our GDP has also grown from, 1 billion to 76 billion. And that should tell you that, yes, of course, while we're growing our economy, we are growing the liability that goes with the economy. And we need to ask ourselves, whether we have the capacity to service our debt or not after going through this debt negotiations and all that. The entire manifesto, talks about, our debt service, all right. But then what we forget to look at is that the manifesto forgot to look at is, the debt service and its impact on the economy going forward. We can't take that for granted because, we had a liability. And again, all the taxes that were promised, that we're going to provide, the manifesto is going to provide tax incentives here and there to ensure that, businesses can, expand with the tax, freedom that they will enjoy. And employ more people, that is true employment creation and all those. I can tell you that we cannot achieve that in the first 2 years of, the next government administration because of the IMF program. We've hedged all the taxes against, the IMF, program, because in the program we indicated that we're going to increase, our tax to GDP from 14% to 18%. So from now to 2026, anything that will have to do with tax incentives and then providing tax holidays and all those, we may not be able to achieve that, but then that could go beyond the 2026.
Okay, so now he wants to cut expenditure by 30 billion Ghana cedis. And I don't know if that is enough cutting to save Ghana's ailing economy, but he also says he wants to grow the economy at 6% annual. How will this help us achieve good economic growth? Is it feasible, first of all? I think we're just struggling to connect with Prof. I don't know if it's where he is, but... Okay, Professor Lord Mensah, I was asking that the government wants to cut expenditure by 30 billion Ghana cedis. And they also want to grow the economy based on the things Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was saying at 6% annual. How will this help us achieve the economic growth we want? And is this cutting, in this 30 billion Ghana cedis cutting enough to save Ghana's ailing economy?
I think 30 billion, if you look at it in dollar terms, expenditure cut from that direction. Because if you have an economy that is worth around 700 and something billion Ghana cedis, and you're just cutting, 30 billion into another, line of, investment within the economy, I think it is too small. I'm happy. He mentioned, cutting down the number of ministers to 50.
Professor Lord Mensah, unfortunately, there's a lot of interference, so we'd have to try and connect with you subsequently, maybe tomorrow going forward. But we would have to pick up this conversation again. Let me come to Dr. Osai Kwapong just to wrap. Doc, so just give me a wrap of your thoughts on everything so far, the promises of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and our expectations. The question really now is how voters are absorbing this vision for the next 4 years as put out by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Give me a wrap of your thoughts.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it boils down to, for me, one, the extent to which voters would still buy the COVID-19 Russia-Ukraine war argument as the basis for the economic challenges that we have faced. On COVID-19, for example, I do acknowledge that globally countries' economies suffered. But what I have also said in the past is that there is a limit to that argument because we were also not left to our own devices, in the sense that support did come in during that period. And so there needs to be some reconciliation with, whilst we acknowledge the crisis, we did get support, and why didn't that support make the difference that it was designed to make? So for me, one, it boils down to would voters buy the argument wholeheartedly that our challenges had nothing to do with the government, but everything to do with external factors. The other thing that for me, when all is said and done, it boils down to is voters have to be convinced, they have to trust that whatever the candidate is promising, that the candidate will be able to deliver. Now, you can't always predict the future, right? In election, it's a chance that you take. And part of taking that chance is informed by trust. And so, again, those who vote NPP would vote NPP. This manifesto is not what would change their mind about whether they want their party in power or not. But there's still a group of voters who are also always in the middle and need a choice to make. Those are the ones that I believe sometimes some of these ideas, these policies, are aimed and targeted at. And at the end of the day, I think the Ghanaian voter has to weigh very heavily the question of trust as well as ability. You have to be able to say, okay, I think I can believe this person, or I believe I can trust this person to be able to do all of these things that they are saying. If we elect them, they'll be able to do.
Thank you so much. And just something you said, I want to quickly follow up on that. There's a group of voters who need to be convinced. This year, we have nearly 1 million new voters. And also on the back of the NDC's Youth Manifesto. When I listened to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia yesterday, in terms of his plan or the vision for the youth, did you see a clear direction on what he intends to do for the youth?
So two things that I saw. One has to do with not making national service compulsory, especially if you have a job right after education, right, your university education. So I saw that. I also saw the idea of the training, in skills for the digital economy. But I think one of the things that the NDC did in terms of one leg up was to actually have a manifesto solely directed at the youth. And I think in going forward and campaigning, they would have to find a way to make sure that they expand what they are promising the youth. Because I think the NDC found a very creative way to say, here's something separate, outside of the main manifesto targeted specifically.
Thank you so much. Let me wrap now with Mr. Enoch, Charles Kusiapia. Charles, your final words.
I want to situate the Vice President's manifesto in terms of business growth into what we call the supply economy, where you want lower taxes, create more flexibility within the business environment, so that business will get more production. When there's more production, it obviously will affect prices. Price will come down because of the supply aggregate against demand aggregate. In that way, you can create more jobs because factories will need more hands. And through that, you see economic multiplier effect, where money circulation will ensure that every household will have a disposable income to take care of life.
Right.
And in doing that, business will grow. And as businesses are growing, government will get a reliable and sustainable taxes. So we are most grateful to him, and we are hoping that if he's given the mandate, he can stick to his promise and deliver as he has told us all. Yeah.
Charles Kusiapia Kubi is Head of Business and Economic Bureau and Executive Secretary of Ashanti Business Owners Association, also with GUTAG. We also have Professor Lord Mensah, an economist and lecturer at University of Ghana Business School, as well as Dr. John Osai Kwapong, who is a CDD fellow. Those were my panel members for this conversation. Thank you so much. But before we go, are you stressed out about your cleaning needs? Then worry no more, because Dance World Services is your one-stop shop that meets all your commercial and residential cleaning needs, from pest control, janitorial, house cleaning, events cleaning, waste management, even carpet and sofa. And whether at home or at work, we understand and know how haptic cleaning can be coupled with your busy lifestyle. And we've got great news for you. Dance World Environmental Facility Management Services has got you covered, and we excel in whatever we do, leaving you beyond expectation. Locate us at Excel House, opposite Regimanol Estate at Nungua Barrier, or simply call 0302-905-538 or 0555-752-361. Dance World Services, beyond expectations. There's still more coming your way on the AM show. Do stay. Still on the matter, the conversations and the engagements. Let's talk now about the Graphic Business Stanbic Breakfast Meeting, the third quarter. In the studio with me is Mr. Kojolabi, and he is manager at Manager of Communications at Stanbic, as well as Mr. Boahena Samoa, and he's editor Graphic Business. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
This is the third quarter meeting for the Graphic, the Graphic Business Stanbic Breakfast Meeting. How has the first two meetings been so far in this year?
As always, very powerful, very high-level topics on agriculture, and of course, on things that impact the lives of every Ghanaian.
Okay.
So that's what we've done over the past two quarters. But this is focused on another very impactful one, on remittances.
Right.
And how its impacts on the economy. And we believe this is a very, very topical issue to discuss it in light of what is happening with the economy. How can we make some money out of this remittances? Because, you know, the more forex we have, the more our cedi becomes stable. So that's why we are focusing this time on remittances and its impacts on the economy.
Mr. Rabi, what should we expect tomorrow on remittances when you sit with all these stakeholders for these all-important conversations? What's the X factor for tomorrow?
The X factor is that this is a sector that you can technically call a low-hanging fruit. We keep pushing all manner of things that would beef up the city. Now,
we're not playing so badly in the remittance space. I mean, in Sub-Saharan Africa, we're about second, somewhere after Nigeria. But fact of the matter is we can do more. There are countries that are making over, I know India gets like 123 billion from remittances in a year. Okay, Nigeria is doing 19. So, but in absolute numbers, we are like, depending on who is measuring, we are 4.6 or 2.4. It depends on who is measuring and who is reporting. If we are doing absolutely 4.6, that's more than what you get from foreign direct investment. But I'm sure we can do more, right? So I guess tomorrow we have, the key speaker would be Mr. Yao Apialate from Deloitte. And I guess his presentation will work around the fact that there are opportunities that we need to look at. Then we'll bring in people from the fintechs, the telcos, the financial houses, and I suspect academia, where we try and look at the plugs that we can play in to ensure that this sector can be even more dynamic. I mean, if we could ever hit 10% of GDP, I'm sure that would be a place that we can rest a bit. And even as we do more exports, this also backs up the economy.
Okay. Yeah. So it's happening tomorrow.
Yes.
So tell us about the time and place, and then who's invited?
As usual, we'll start with the breakfast in the morning at 7 o'clock. And of course, courtesy Joy FM, our partner. We'll carry it live when we go live at 8 a.m. Invitation is, of course, it's invite only, as he has alluded to, professionals, academia, and people in that space. But of course, you can also go to graphic.com.online, and then you can get the Facebook, or you can also go to the Facebook Live. For those who wish to come and may not be able to attend, you can join us. And then, of course, you can listen to Joy FM, of course.
Yes, you carry it live.
Yes, as well.
So just a sense of who would be speaking tomorrow. You've already said business industry players, but any key people we know that we should expect, Mr. Labi?
Yes, I mentioned Mr. Yao Apialate from Deloitte.
As a key, one of the keynote speakers. Or he is the keynote speaker.
Okay. You know, we changed it a bit. Previously, we would have had 3 speakers. Yes. This time, I want to have a bit more time. So the key speaker focuses on the broad areas, thematic areas, and then the various invitees that have a role to play on the day then have to answer, have the conversation going, keep the conversation going in the room.
Okay. And the theme is specifically remittances?
The remittances system and its impact on the economy.
Great. Okay, we are looking forward to that conversation. And I just want to give you each a minute or 30 seconds to a minute to speak directly to our audience on why they should tune in to listen to the conversation, because it's important and it drives the economy. So I'll start with you. Mr. Soma, please look into your camera and tell us why we should tune in tomorrow to listen to the conversation.
Thank you once again. It's an important conversation because of the economy. Everything about the economy affects us directly. The cedi depreciation is a direct impact. I mean, so you can imagine that if you had a salary of, let's say, 5,000 Ghana cedis, this year's inflation is about 20-something%. That is 20% of your income is gone. That impact is there. Food prices, we are all alluding to it. Tomato is costing 1 cedi until recently that we are now seeing. So it's an important topic that impacts everybody in our pockets. And that's why we all must listen and provide solutions to our national challenge. Thank you.
Mr. Labi.
When you tune in tomorrow on either a graphic handle or social media handles, some big social media handles, or even Joy FM, remember that our inflation is driven primarily not just food, but import-based. Yeah. So each time you hear that the cedi has depreciated, it means that the next time you go to the market, it will be affected. So anything that we bring on board that allows this conversation to be done so as to prop up our cedi and make it a bit more competitive and a bit more stable. That means your pocket is being freed a bit. That's why we're saying that, watch out, just join us tomorrow.
These meetings to proffer solutions and find the cardinal value of the various elements of the economy to propel our development agenda. You've had, this year alone, you've had 2 sessions already. How are you using the solutions that you come up with to, let me say, force the hands of government to implement some of them? What happens after they conclude the meeting?
Thank you for this. If it's a big question, if asked, I could come in. Let me give you an example of a typical solution provided. During the course of the DDP last year, one of the topics we discussed was the DDP and its impact on people. Out of that discussion, we had what we call the Investor Protection Bill, which is being worked on. So that is the solution we provide. That platform actually gives solution.
Okay.
And we've done that over the last quarters. Yes, could you want to come in?
I almost said I was going to add. What I wanted to say is that after the gathering, there's a rapporteur's report that is made and presented to the key stakeholders to advise. Because remember, you use the word push government. You cannot push them, but you can nudge them in a certain direction. You can nudge the policymakers in a certain direction. And hopefully, as we put together all the things that make us a country, all the citizens are brought on board, not just the spectators, but we are all citizens. Right. So that's what the idea is about.
Mr. Kojolabi, thank you. And he is Manager of Communications at Stanbic, and Mr. Boahin Asamoah is Editor of Graphic Business newspaper. Thank you for joining us, and I'm wishing you all the best tomorrow, and we will be watching, joining the conversation. Yeah, right. There's still more coming your way before we end the show today. Don't go away. I'll be right back. So folks, as part of political parties' manifesto influencing initiatives, Joy News, your election headquarters, in partnership with the Ghana Institute of Engineers, will be organizing a one-day national dialogue to engage with the political parties on the Ghana Institute of Engineering manifesto series ahead of the election 2024 that is coming this December. And the objective is to get the aspiring state actors and national political office holders to be informed about the critical engineering needs of Ghana as we seek, or they seek, votes of electorates to enable them to occupy very sensitive offices. In the studio with me this morning is Engineer Kwabena Bingpong, President of Ghana Institute of Engineering, and Engineer Joseph Odey, immediate past Chairman of the Civil Division of Ghana Institute of Engineering. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you.
To set the ball rolling, what is the purpose or what's the intention behind this event?
Well, before I go on, I just want to make a small correction because we are the Ghana Institution of Engineering.
Not institute.
Not institute. And thank you very much for hosting us. Now, the primary purpose of this manifesto series, as you have mentioned, is to offer well-researched and practical policy suggestions to these political parties so that they can adopt and integrate them into their manifestos. And the recommendations that we are providing or we are giving to them is aimed at addressing progressive national issues, as you rightly mentioned. Some of them are engineering, but then we are dealing with national issues, sustainable development, and an improved quality of life for all Ghanaians. Now, we have specific objectives, and if you would want me to move on, we'll talk about the specific objectives that we seek to, well, at the end of the day, seek to attain.
What do you seek to attain?
Well, they are, first, we want to influence public policy, because that is one of the main areas of our organization as advocates for public policy and sectoral reforms. And in doing this, we are providing an evidence-based recommendation, not that which is out of what we believe or what we think, but this is going to be what we have researched based on evidence. And then the second one has to do with promotion of sustainable development. We all know that we've signed up to the SDGs, and if you look at the SDGs, 6, 9, 11, and they are basically engineering issues. And when you have engineering issues, then you need engineering solutions. As engineers or engineering practitioners, we provide solutions.
Right.
The challenges are already known, or the problems are known. Now, the third one has to do with, as I mentioned, to enhance public discourse. We want the public, or to stimulate the public into knowing the issues which they have to ask our political actors, not based on the small monies that they give to us. But then we have to ensure that the discussion is based on policy, based on issues that bring solutions, or the solutions that we're looking for. And the last one that probably I might ask us to empower the political parties. There are some political parties which may not have the necessary wherewithal, and we are providing these alternatives so that they can add that to their own political manifestos.
So in sum, you want to influence the manifesto so that it's solution-oriented.
Exactly so.
Also
and
to
based on
propel the
policy.
development agenda
That's
of
right.
Ghana. So what are the thematic areas for discussion, Mr. Ode?
Yes, there are. We've selected 4 thematic areas. The first one is to look at management of urban spaces, and then the urban transportation issues. At the same time, we want to look at the artisanal and the small-scale mining, and then sustainable energy. So these are 4 areas we have really gotten experts to research into, which we are going to deliver.
And these experts will be there tomorrow.
Yes,
Any key people we know? Who are your panel? Who's on your panel?
They are engineers anyway.
Okay.
Yes, they are engineers.
Okay, right. And when is this event? So let's talk about when, where, time,
okay.
and who is invited.
Okay, so it's tomorrow, that's 20th, and to be at the institution, Roman Ridge. We're starting at 9. Invitation is open to all, but we are also in partnership with Joy TV to be there to cover. And then we also will be streaming on all our social network platforms as well. We have invited all the political parties as well to be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we know the intention behind the event. We know the thematic areas. At the end of the day, at the conclusion of this event, how are you going to use these? How are you actually going to use the solutions that you proffer tomorrow to influence the manifesto? What is the technical how?
Well,
to do that?
Thank you very much. The good news is that we shared these documents. It's a 100-page document which outlines all the thematic areas that Joseph has mentioned. And we have shared with all the political parties and had a one-on-one discussion with some of them. So our expectation is that they will incorporate some of the ideas that we have already researched and written about into their manifestos. You see, one of the things that if you look at manifestos, they provide the broad strokes, in terms of the policy direction, in terms of a framework. But we are providing recommendations, specific recommendations. If it is about public transportation, there are specific recommendations. If it is about energy or sustainable energy, there are specific recommendations. So these are solutions which also are encapsulated in the National Development Plan. Because what we want to do is not for any government to come, and it doesn't matter whether it is NDC or it's NPP or CPP or any other. All we want to do is that let us follow an agreed development plan. They may have different ways of doing it, but we as engineers have always been in the background, and you know that if you are on the menu, what happens? You'll be eating.
All right.
So we do not want to be on the menu. We want to be in the kitchen. We are given the ingredients to prepare the meal, and we will be at the table of men to participate in the development of our country.
Very passionate.
Yes, very, very, very passionate
I don't know
about
if you mentioned already who's invited, or is it an invite-only event?
No. It's open
to all.
Yeah.
Great. All right. So, and this is a Ghana Institution of Engineering initiative. Do you have partners you want to acknowledge, or is solely your initiative?
Yes, our main partners are Joy.
Just as Joy.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. So I'll give you 30 seconds or a minute each to speak directly to our audience and tell them why they shouldn't miss this all-important occasion.
Well, fellow Ghanaians, we know that when we talk about development, it affects you and I. And it is not enough to leave the political parties to come out with their manifestos and then do what they desire. It should be based on what we as members of this country, or those of us who live in this country, desire, so that they work for us. Because when they get into political position, we are employing them. So let us come, Jojo, let us think together so that we will tell them what we are looking for. The days when political parties were engaged in just insults and we want to find who has the loudest mouth is over. We are now going to vote based on issues, and we want them to come here or come to the institution and tell us exactly what they want to do. I know NPP has already had theirs, but then I see that it is a line and want them to be part of this meeting.
Okay, Joseph. What would you add to that?
My president has spoken, so I think he's packed it all. So thank you very much.
And it's a free event,
yes,
well?
it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
All right. Thank you so much. And you heard the engineer Kwabena Bimpong, who is president of Ghana Institution of Engineering, as well as engineer Joseph Odo, immediate past chairman of the Civil Division of Ghana Institution of Engineering, for that event coming off tomorrow. I wish you the very best.
Well, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. It's not 10 o'clock yet, so please stay with us. We'll be right back. So, we are going to launch the Hope MCH project, which is the Maternal and Child Health Project. It's an initiative from a consortium made up of the Catholic Relief Services, as well as the Latter-day Saints. They are providing funding, and then we have the Welfare and Service Reliance. In the studio with me this morning is Halik Adam, Project Manager for Hope MCH from the Catholic Relief Services, Stephanie Ashley, MCH Coordinator, the Hunger Project, and Marian Esiafe, Welfare and Self-Reliance Manager of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
And we're launching the Hope MCH project, correct?
Yes.
What is it all about? Usually they say ladies first, but let me start with a gentleman from Catholic Relief Services. Since you're spearheading this, what is this project really about?
Thank you so much. Yes, so Hope MCH is an acronym that stands for Holistic Opportunities for Positive Engagement in Maternal and Child Health. And this is a maternal and child health intervention that is being rolled out in the 4 regions of the north and then also 2 regions in the south. That is the Ashanti region and the eastern region of the south, and in the north we are going to be operating in northern, northeast, Savannah, and upper east region.
Okay. Yeah. Stephanie, what gaps did you identify in these regions? For which reason you think this project will help or meet these people at the point of their needs?
Okay, so THP Ghana works mostly in the rural communities, likewise CRS, and in most of the beneficiary communities where we'll be working, we identify limited access to healthcare. We also realize that there is shortage of midwives in the system, so most of the CHIPS compounds where we work with do not have midwives. Also, there is no knowledge when it comes to nutrition practices, and most of the facilities too, it's either they do not have trained service providers or the facilities are not equipped with the necessary medical equipment. Also, most pregnant women in the community suffer from high anemia. Same with children under 3. Hence, this project is being implemented to deal with malnutrition issues in the community.
Let me stay on you for a bit because you're the project coordinator. How do you intend to solve all these problems that you've listed?
Okay, so just like Halik explained, it's a holistic opportunity for positive engagement. It is funded by LDSE, but it's a consortium partners that is working at it. So we are working with CRS. CRS is mostly in the north and we are in the south. And what we usually do is focus on the first 1,000 days. That is from inception pregnancy, from conception of pregnancy till the child attains age 2. So we are looking at training service providers in midwifery so that they can offer essential services to pregnant women in the communities. We also train them in nutrition, which is quite integral in reducing maternal and child mortalities. We are also, there is another key partner on the consortium named MAP International. They are providing medical equipment, and there's another one called Vitamin Angels that will be supporting with multiple micronutrient supplementation, mainly for the women, pregnant women in the community, so as to reduce the incidence of anemia.
Right. Marianne, I mean, this is a beautiful project, and the government cannot fix all. So when individuals and organizations come together to do this, it is worth commending. But what's the significance of this project? For which reason you've agreed to bring funding on board? And talk to me about the lives, if there are some success stories or testimonials, or the lives that you want to change. For which reason you're doing this?
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints seeks to first love God and to love its neighbors. And for us, having women and children blessed is key. Because when you bless a woman, you are blessing a family, a community, a nation. Yeah. And when you invest in a child, you are investing into the future. And so for us to be able to partner with these organizations that have the expertise, for us, we believe we are blessing lives globally. Okay. And we are doing this in 12 different countries. And so for us, it is just living the gospel, just as Christ did when he was here. He made sure that people were helped when they had ailments, you know, helped those with infirmities and all of that. So for us, we believe partnering with them blesses lives. Okay. And that's what the Lord would require of us.
Yes, you are all blessed. So when is the launch? Where is it happening? Who's invited? What are the activities that are, you know, going to proceed or, you know, going to form the launch of this event?
All right. Yes, so the launch is actually happening here in Accra at Alisa Hotel on the 21st of this month. That is Wednesday this week. And we are hoping to bring together partners from Ghana Health Services, Ministry of Health, and then also National Ambulance Services. We are also bringing on board other stakeholders from the regions and districts that we are working in to be able to support in launching and also to commit them to be able to support the implementation of this project, which has the potential of changing many lives, especially mothers and children in northern Ghana and in some parts of southern Ghana.
Do you need support in any way for this, Marian?
Well, I believe if all mothers would come to them during the program implementation, they would bless the mothers and bless the children. Any you know, civil society agencies that are ready to support, I believe, can work with the same organizations to make that impact that we seek to do.
So, Stephanie, what will be your words of encouragement or invitation for these mothers to actually come to you when they need help so that the lives that you're seeking to be saved will actually be saved?
Okay. So as THP, we are seeking to empower women and children so that they get to thrive and then live self-reliant lives. So we are asking them to come on board. We exist because of them. So for all the project intervention, that is why they are our main target beneficiaries. So we expect that they utilize the facilities. There are service providers that will be trained. They make use of them. They also come so that essential services will be rendered onto them so that they can be empowered and live self-reliant lives in their communities.
How do we contact you?
Okay, so you can, anyone who is interested in knowing more about the project can check the Catholic Relief Service Facebook page. Likewise, the THP Ghana page. You can like, follow, so that you can actually check the progress of the project as well. And if you are willing to volunteer or be part of the advocacy project, you can just link with us up on our social media pages.
Okay. Halik, I'll give you the final word.
All right, so thank you so much. Yes, so I think that the most important thing when it comes to quality of care and services is for the people themselves to know that they deserve better and to demand for it. So in all our activities and in the work we do, we emphasize the self-awareness and being able to demand for quality of care. So we urge mothers and children not to settle for less, demand for quality services and improve lives. And this is what will bring about a healthy nation, a healthy society, to be able to contribute meaningfully to Ghana's development. We do not know, especially for a child. There's a saying that it takes a whole village to bring up a child. We do not know what a child has or who potentially a child would be. It could be the next president of Ghana or someone who is contributing significantly to the development of the country.
Right.
And so we would leave no stone unturned to ensure that we improve the lives of our children and our mothers for a better future.
Marianne, anything to add to that before we go?
We need all the support of all the players in that field to make sure that our mothers and children have the best of care and are blessed.
And that's for the Hope MCH project launch. In the studio with me, Halik Adam, project manager for Hope MCH from the Catholic Relief Services. Stephanie Ashley is MCH coordinator, the Hunger Project. Stephanie, you didn't tell me about the Hunger Project. What's that about?
Interesting. So the Hunger Project is a global organization headquarters in the US, in New York. And in Ghana, we have been in existence since 1996. We work mostly in the rural communities. We work with what we call the epicenter strategy. That is a concept of mindset change, moving people from dependency to independent. Also, we mobilize communities, 5 to 15 communities, so that they can champion their development. And we also put in place a multi-purpose infrastructure.
So you're a humanitarian at heart.
Oh, yes.
Through and through.
Oh, yes.
Okay, all right.
So all this information can actually be checked online on our Facebook pages or other social media pages.
All right, thank you so much. So that was Stephanie Ashley, the MCH coordinator, and also with the Hunger Project. I just wanted to understand what the Hunger Project is about. As well as Marianne Esiafe, the Welfare and Self-Reliance Manager from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they are providing funding for the Hope MCH project launch. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you the very best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's our show for this morning, Monday. We started with the news. We did a news review, brought you some updates and details from that dam spillage that could impact lives along and in the White Volta. And then we did some politics, got into what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia promises to do if given the mandate. And we also have had some engagements with other organizations. That's how we're wrapping up this morning. My name is Sweetie Abochi. Joy News Desk is coming up next with Faustina Safo. See you tomorrow.